Hey everybody, GameHounds. We are in the pre-podcast show right now. So
Damn it,
Nick is furiously trying to save a Outriders expedition that
No, not an Outriders expedition. A curious expedition.
a what?
A curious expedition.
Oh.
Which I'll get to, I can describe later. And fuck, I feel like this game is unwinnable. I cannot. No, do I have to go all the way back there
Oh
and
my
then
god.
hike through
Nick!
the shallow river? Oh my god, I do. Oh shit, this could go almost all bad. This could go very wrong.
This is all going bad as we speak. This is all wrong. You need to work on your time management, my friend.
This is, I don't want to fight this giant bird again. This giant bird has fucked me up so many times. Oh god, this giant bird's gonna fuck me up again, isn't he? And there's a tiger up there too. Oh my god. All these animals just want to
I would
see me
like
dead.
to care, but it is 2:00, Nick, and we have no Andrew today, so.
Wait, I'm gonna try to outrun the giant bird. No! The fucking geyser. This fucking geyser. Oh no!
Is this multiplayer or single player?
I think James Sterling is gonna die.
You have a character named James Sterling?
Yes, it's actually modeled after the James Sterling, the critic. He's breathing heavy and shaking. He's asking for a final favor. To take care of his wife's financial needs. Before I could let out a reply.
Jim, I apologize in advance right now if you would all wind up watching this.
Before I could let out a reply, he let out a long moan and was gone.
It makes sense. Sterling's
I
dead.
only had one medical kit, and I chose to. Both of my teammates had infected wounds, and I chose to save the alcoholic because I get more sanity from him when I drink whiskey. And now I could have passed. I could have passed this location if this geyser hadn't gone off and filled it in, and now I can't pass it. Shit. I just have to wait. I just have to wait and hope that this fucking tiger doesn't kill me. Yes. Okay.
You can't stop waiting. Save it? I'm just saying.
It's turn-based. I can stop playing anytime. But the question is, do I want to?
You're the worst. You are absolutely the worst.
Oh my god, this tiger is fucking on my ass like a little bastard.
Got Blood Reaper in the chat room. How you doing, buddy? How's things?
I gotta fill up my alcoholic on whiskey for this final leg.
Are we gonna play the final leg before the show, or can you put that aside so we can do the fucking show?
I can put it aside, yeah, if you want. No one is interested in how my expedition will end. This could either make me the most successful explorer in the Explorers Club, or it will be my doom. Fucking stupid fucking tigers, man. You know what? Fuck tigers. Fuck tigers with the goddamn big stick. Tigers fucking suck.
Nick. You make me nuts. You really do. So do you have topics for today?
Yes, I have some.
All right. Well, let's see. What are we going to talk about on the show? Stand by. Let me get my banners up. I'm not going to talk about Crusader Kings. We are going to probably talk about Outriders because you're going to complain about it. What else you got to talk about?
Curious Expedition.
Stand by.
And what else did I play? I think that's all I played. Because I started playing this because I wanted, to have something extra to talk about.
I started playing Yes, Your Grace, but I didn't really play enough of it to be able to have an opinion.
Yeah, I played some of that too on Game Pass. Yeah, that's one of those games that kind of slowly snowballs into
Yeah, and I
disaster.
haven't gotten to anywhere where the snowball is, and
Mhm.
so I can't really have an opinion about it. Oh,
Oh,
Stellaris. Is that with Stellaris? Is that with 2 L's or 1 L?
STAL? I think it's 2.
It is 2 L's. Stellaris for the console. Can't really speak about it too much, but I'll touch on it. Anything else? Just Outriders, Curious Expedition, Stellaris, anything else?
I feel like I played something else on Xbox, but what was it?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, no, that's all. Although I did see Mortal Kombat. I can talk about that.
The movie?
Yeah.
I don't know. We got Blood Reaper in the chat room. Should we talk about the movie? Do a movie review on this
Yeah,
show?
I've watched more movies this week than I played games.
All right. What was it again? Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. No need to be so dismissive. It's good. It's a fun time.
Mm-mm. I'm going to be dismissive. It's my prerogative.
It's just terrible.
All right. So that's our games. Our news. Let's see. Let me delete all the news from last week.
I'm checking Discord because he's got a lot of stuff
Yeah,
there.
Blood
And
Reaper definitely keeps us going there.
I did take notes on things. Let me check the Google documents.
Let's see. I've got, what do I have this week? Destiny. Let's see. Humble bundle changes. Humble bundle charity changes up set patrons. Okay. Bungie. No, Destiny 2 transmog changes upset everyone. And leak. Let's see. Rumor. I'll give it a rumor. Well, we'll see. We'll classify it as rumor. Xbox talking with Konami about Metal Gear Solid. This normally I would not put this on there, but this I will qualify the source and why it's. I mean, I'm reporting on the news. I'm not necessarily saying this is not my source. I wish it was. No, it's not my source, but discussing about the rumor, not necessarily the fact of it. Possibly a little both. What you got? What you got? What you got?
Let me find my notes.
What you want?
Is that only? I thought I added more than that. Xbox Live, Xbox Gold no longer required for free-to-play games.
FTP multiplayer games, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed is becoming a children's book.
Oh crap! Hold on a second. I have to stand by. Oh, I'm so annoying. Hey, anybody in the chat room, can you check? AC Wraith is here. Can you check to make sure that we are streaming on Facebook? We should be. I just got a notification that I need to renew my lease between StreamYard and Facebook, but I want to make sure of it. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, what was the next one?
Assassin's Creed is becoming a children's book.
Okay.
And then from Discord, there's just a bunch of PSN updates.
Okay.
There's like 3 news stories from there. So just PSN updates is a nice summary.
Okay. Anything else?
Let me see. I do want to read some of these stories. Wait, what? That's not true. Okay. Vin Diesel making a Rock'em Robots movie? I clicked that. I was like, wait. Let me. In production? Yeah.
It's in production? Man, I don't know what's more like concerning, that or the Angry Birds movie, which apparently actually did well in the theaters.
Yeah, it got a sequel.
It's fucking wrong
It
with
did
this
well
country.
enough to
Seriously.
get a sequel.
What the fuck is wrong with people? What else?
And from what I understand, movies were all about prejudice is good.
Probably.
Because it's basically like a pig arrives at the bird village and this dude hates the pig, he's gonna be bad, and the pig ends up being bad. So don't trust people that look different than you.
Stereotypes are correct.
Yeah. Sony reverses its PS3 and Vita store closure.
Oh yeah. A PS3 Vita store closure. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that took a lot of heat. Surprising amount of heat. I mean, I think I'm as well. I don't want to do the show before I do the show, but I think I was as surprised, if not more surprised, by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so was I.
Than Sony. Clearly, they didn't know either.
Yeah. Xbox Cloud Gaming beta on Windows and iOS.
Anything else? That should get us through. I mean, it might be a little bit of a light show, but that's cool. Hey,
Yeah,
Ryan Stevenson's in the house. How you doing?
Some more new stuff. But you know what? The more I read about this Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie, I call bullshit because it's just a ripoff of Real
Stop
Steel.
doing the show. Let me start the show, and then we can talk about the
Yes,
Rock'em Robots
AC Ray,
movie.
like the Hugh Jackman one. Fuck. Why pay for the IP when you've got it right there?
Let's start the show, and then we can eventually more quickly get to the Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie.
Yeah.
We're good, Ryan. Just no Andrew today. He is feeling down, feeling not good, so he is not going to be doing the show. Which is cool. You know, some players got to play. He's got to, take care of himself. So that's what we're going to do here is go without him. But that's why you have 3 chairs, just in case one drops. All right. Ryan says he's got his first shot last week. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. I got my first shot today.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I got it just this morning.
So which arm? Left arm, right arm?
Left.
Team Pfizer, Team Moderna?
Pfizer.
I'm Team Pfizer as well. Yeah, I am. Another week and I will be fully vaccinated, because you're supposed to wait to consider yourself fully vaccinated 2 weeks after your last shot. So
Yeah.
another week, and then I'm bulletproof. I'm not bulletproof.
It was interesting because I went to the Coliseum, which was a drive-through,
Yeah.
and when you first go in there, they have a fucking labyrinth of cones set up. And when you look at it from like the driver's point of view, you just look at this cones. It's like,
I
what the
think
fuck?
they've
What do I
got,
do?
let's
How do
see.
I get through this? But then once you start going through it, you realize, oh, okay, I see the path. I can go through it. But it's just like kind of looking out there, you just see all these orange sticks.
Yes.
spots. It's like,
I'm trying to pull up. Yeah, like trying to pull up some video here. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, this is what the mass vaccination site where Nick got his thing. There it is. All the cones. I hope they do an overhead, because it is just the whole parking lot of the Oakland Coliseum. It's a sports coliseum. That whole parking lot, there we go. You can just see it. It's just nothing. Well, you can't really see it very well. It's nothing but cones. It's just cones everywhere. And it's just this big serpentine that you go through.
yeah, it's like U-turn, another U-turn. It's like, wow, this is a lot.
Yep. So this is what it looked like, huh? Except without the FEMA guys, because the FEMA isn't running it anymore.
Yeah. Oh no, there are people in the military fatigues there. I don't know. Is that the
There's
National Guard?
Mhm.
Okay.
So yeah, there it is. All the
You
cones.
see, from this perspective, it's like, how the fuck do you get through that? And then when you're in it, you're like, oh, okay, I see the path.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a mess. So did you have to wait very long?
No, not at all.
No.
That appointment for 11:30. I got there at like 11 o'clock.
When did you call for your appointment? Like, when did you actually request your appointment? Okay, so you.
That day.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I had signed up for the My Turn thing, right? They're supposed to give you like a notice when appointments open up, and so I was kind of waiting for that because previously I checked and nothing was really available. And then Roxana actually checked one night and said, "Hey, there's a bunch of appointments open at the Oakland Coliseum." And so I thought, okay, I went to My Turn, saw the Coliseum, went boom, what's an appointment? Oh, I can get it this Sunday? Yes, I'll do that. And then I actually had to make the second appointment that same time. So I've got the second appointment scheduled for May.
You make the second appointment when you make the first appointment.
And then the next day, I got a text from My Turn being like, "Hey, there are spots open in the Oakland Coliseum."
I got that text too.
So I
Even
feel
though I already
like
have mine.
I just kind of luckily stumbled into making it very, very quickly. Like she must have found it through chance. When she looked, it was like the night that it went up, before the text notice even went out.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it was almost
demand has dropped off considerably in the last week. I mean, like, whereas before I was looking every day at our county, and our county has an unusual amount of vaccine because of a bunch of technical reasons, but we have a ton of vaccine. And so I've been watching the amount of first shots versus the amount of second shots. And previous to this, it was like a ton of first shots and then a few second shots. And then it's like, I know, right about when I got my shot, the second shots were going to start to go up because I was in kind of the second big group to go through.
Okay.
And the second shot, now there's twice as many second shots. 3 times on Friday, it was 3 times as many second shots as first shots. So the demand for the first shot has dropped off.
I'm just going to scoot around a bit here. I've got a cat on my lap and I'm going to try to grab a coffee from the... Oh.
I got a puppy who's decided now is the time to play. Yes, of course. Show starts. Now you got to play.
Shit.
You can see that one. That's not the puppy, by the way. That one right there, buddy. That's not the puppy.
The things I do to keep a cat on my lap.
That's the puppy.
Shepherd. You have no idea how spoiled you
It
are.
is the shuffle the pets part of the show before we actually start the show. All right,
See,
you got your water?
I'm doing all this so that he doesn't have to move. Little.
Your cats are so fucking spoiled.
Yes.
I want to be
Okay. Are you
reincarnated.
happy
When
now?
I die, I want to come back as one of your cats.
Oh, I will take super good care of you.
I know you would.
Yeah.
You'd be really good at taking care of me.
Yeah.
I'd be a really good cat. I would make an excellent cat.
Yeah. Would you be a lap cat or a shoulder cat?
Oh, I'd probably be a shoulder cat.
Okay, pot parrot.
Yeah, I'd really like to just lie across somebody's shoulders and then just like let you walk around with me on you.
That's what Jupiter does.
Yeah.
That's what he likes to do.
Yeah, I was that kind of kid. I was always wanting to be on dad. That was like the best. Dad's shoulders, the best place in the world. It is probably the number one reason why I hate being a grown up is that I am too little to be on somebody's shoulders. I mean, too big to be on somebody's shoulders. Oh yeah.
You just need to find a super big person. Where's Shaq? Where's
Yeah, no, I will never. No, I would never, ever,
Where's
ever.
the mountain? That dude that played the mountain in Game of Thrones. He could totally lift you up.
He could probably lift me up. He could, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I'd feel comfortable with that at all. No. No.
I've seen that dude do the strength test where you throw like a big log. He could totally throw you.
Yes. What is
Just
that called? Cable? Cable? Is it cable chuck? Like,
I don't think it's cable.
Yeah, it's called cable chucking. It is Scottish. Games. Events. So the events in Scottish games.
Yeah, I remember there was one time I went to a not a fair. Yeah, it was a fair around here.
Caber toss.
Caber. That makes more sense than cables.
Yeah. A long log is stood upright and hoisted by the competitor who balances it vertically, holding the smaller end in his hands. Then the competitor runs forward, attempting to toss it in such a way that it turns end over end, with the upper, larger end striking the ground first. The smaller end that was originally held by the athlete then hits the ground in the 12 o'clock position, measured relative to the direction of the run. If successful, the athlete is said to have turned the caber. Cabers vary greatly in length, weight, taper, and balance, all of which affect the degree of difficulty in making a successful toss.
Yeah, I got to see him do that at a fair one time.
And it's not
he
distance.
Was like
it's not rated on distance. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Because it depends how heavy it is, right? If it changes in weight.
Are judged on how closely their throw approximates the ideal 12 o'clock toss on an imaginary clock. It is
so you
how
want it
it
straight.
lands. You want it straight. It's not the distance. It's how straight you throw it.
Ryan Stevenson says, tossing telephone poles and skirts. That's exactly what it is, yeah.
That's right. That is the most manly thing you can do, my friend. So yeah. Shall we? Oh, I guess we should probably change our names today. What should our names be? Anybody have a suggestion?
Can I change my name?
Yeah, I think you can change your name. You can change your name to anything you want.
I think I have to leave and then come back.
No, I can change your
name. There we go.
Yeah, edit name. Yeah. I'll just be Edie today. I'm gonna be boring.
Been on theme.
Your Nick Soda Cola?
Yeah.
Is that intentional?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dinner soda, now I'm soda cola.
All right. Works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like half a water bottle flip. Yes. If the water bottle was a telephone pole.
That's the next thing is flip a telephone pole and get it to land straight up.
Straight up. All right. So shall we start this show?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go live.
Maybe I should reach for that controller.
One of these days, I'm going to do this so that you can actually hear the music. I just have to make some changes to like adjustments. I just have to do it.
I should do one more turn on the expedition.
So to
Get one more turn in.
punch out. All right, mics are hot. Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 591. We are recording on Sunday, April 25th, 2021. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick DiNicola. We do not have Andrew today. He is off. But we have ourselves. And you know what? I don't know if you've noticed this, but today we have brought back something that we haven't had on this show for more than a decade. I am no longer naming the shows by the date. I'm actually putting the titles back. It used to be that I would do the titles. We would do the show. We would pre-record them back in the day before you had streaming. I would pre-record them. Then I would edit them. I would find the funniest bit from the show and I would develop a title of the show from that. Well, now doing the show live, you have to put the title in before you do the show. There's no way to know how this show is going to go. So I just started doing the name or the date because I didn't have a name of a title for the show. And so I just realized, nobody ever remembers the actual date when something was said, but we all remember when something happened during the show. For example, everybody knows who's been around with us since episode, 10 or 11? Estrogen and Alcohol knows that was the show. It was me and Elaine from some other Castle podcast getting hilariously drunk. Everyone, if you look at a show and you go, even my butt wants to smoke, that was the show after I quit smoking. So I just realized we should have the names back. It just makes it so much easier for people to remember things that were said on the show. So they're not kind of lost within this big bag of dates that don't really apply to what was said.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's going to be a little hard because I have to kind of anticipate what's going to be the thing that we're going to talk about, or at least be funny that we're going to remember. So yeah. AC Race says do like daily tech show and have listeners suggest names. That is not a bad idea. I could do that.
Do you have to name the show before it starts, or can you rename
have
it
to name the show? No, have to name the show before it starts because you got to give the show a title because of course it's streaming. That's how it's going up there on the title. So we're bringing back names.
So what's this one named?
They do it live during the show. Can I change the name live? I can. AC Wraith is a god.
I was just going to say is right, but sure, that works too.
Oh, it lost access to my Facebook account. All right, so let me see if I can change. Can I change it on... Let's see. AC Wraith is a god. That is now the name of the show on an error occurred. It won't do it. Nope. Won't do it. Will not do it.
Close.
Yeah.
Live technical difficulties.
Yeah. How are you? How's things?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. You're vaccinated now, which is good. We were talking about that partially in the pre-show.
Yeah, I got the first shot.
Yeah. How do you feel? Do you feel like you were having any kind of reaction? Just sore arm?
No, my arm's not even that sore.
Really? Yeah. Oh yeah, no, my first time, I definitely felt like somebody had hit me in the arm.
Really?
The second one, the second one is when I had a reaction. Statistically, men have more reactions than women.
Really? Maybe I've just got an awful immune system then.
Well, no, I mean, the first vaccine,
I know the
your
first
body
one
is being
does
introduced to it, right? You aren't having it in an immune reaction because your body doesn't recognize it. It's the second one when your body reacts and goes, oh, we know what this is. That's COVID.
That
Let's
makes
build some
sense.
antibodies. And that's when you have the immune response.
So yeah, that'll be in mid-May. And I will be happy because then I will be able to go see movies in the theater and not like feel risky about it.
Yep. Now also remember that your vaccine, the Moderna and Pfizer have a 90 and 95% effectiveness. Like that's how it's rated.
Yeah.
It's being 90 or 95%, which means that there is a 10% chance if you encounter someone with COVID who is completely unvaccinated and you do no medications to keep yourself from getting COVID, there is a 10% chance of you getting COVID from that person. It's
Yes. I mean,
considerably lower, but like in a situation, like say that you were literally breathing mouth to mouth with someone you knew to be COVID positive, like a 100% chance of getting COVID from that person, it would be 90% or 95%, depending on which one you got.
no,
So,
they would be 5%.
I'm sorry, not 5%, 10% or 5% chance to catch
Get
COVID
it.
from that someone. If
Yeah.
it was like an absolute 100% certainty, you would normally catch COVID from that person.
Yeah.
That being said, more people being vaccinated, the better, because of course you multiply that. It's, that protection becomes layered.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
mean,
why herd immunity is so
I'm
important.
still gonna wear a mask in the movie theaters. I've
Yep.
been doing that, and I don't mind that. It's easy. I've worn the double mask in the movie theater. It's not that fucking hard, people.
It's not that fucking hard.
Dumbasses.
Yeah.
I will
So,
say, real quick, I was really looking forward to this movie called In the Earth.
mhm.
I saw the trailer. I thought it looked like a really cool cosmic capital W weird horror movie. Don't go see In the Earth.
Really that bad?
It was so bad. I was expecting something like the movie Annihilation. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
Do you remember trailers for that with Natalie Portman?
Oh, yes, yes.
Really cool movie. I was expecting something like that. Instead, I got hostile light, homeless dude torturing scientists in the name of a force god, and uh like edgelord film school graduate editing has this scientist fucked around with lights and noise in to communicate with the forest god. The movie came with an epileptic warning in front of it because almost the entire second half was just lights flashing in your face while blaring this discordant noise at you. As this scientist is like, I'm trying to communicate with the forest. Ooh. And then I was hoping there would at least be some sort of, cosmic horror thing going on. There's not. It just kind of ends, and it feels like it ends with like, was there really something supernatural going on, or are these people just crazy? And I'm like, no, fuck you. It's not interesting if they're crazy. It's just stupid. So don't watch In the Earth.
Okay.
It's not good.
All right.
Watch Annihilation, Color Out of Space, and Mandy. Those were the movies I was hoping it would be like, and those movies are awesome.
Good to know. So you want to talk about some games?
Maybe I'll take this moment to continue my movie corner by talking about Mortal Kombat. I saw that the
Okay.
other night, and the worst thing I can say about it is that, as someone who watches a lot of martial arts movies, most of the fights like don't hold up with the best martial arts movies I've seen, something like The Raid or The Night Comes for Us on Netflix, or John Wick even. They're more standard Hollywood martial arts fights. So there's a lot of cutting and things in the middle of a fight. And so the fights don't necessarily hold up with the great martial art movies of the past, and that's a little disappointing, except for the last fight, which is actually really cool. The good thing, though, is that most of the fights are good. Like the things they do, the moves, the choreography, it's all good and entertaining and like watchable. I'm not confused about what people are doing, which
Mm-hmm.
a sad amount of action movies are kind of cut that way. And the best thing I can say about this, and I do genuinely mean this as a compliment, watching this really feels like watching the cutscenes of the video game on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it feels like, oh, what was the story for Mortal Kombat 11? I don't remember. You know what? I'm just gonna go to YouTube, watch all the cutscenes put together in like a 4-hour clip. That's what this feels like, and I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. It
Mhm.
kind of strikes that balance of, martial arts, fantasy, sci-fi, action, gore with uh a cheesiness and a goofiness, uh, and a sense of humor about itself. The characters will say after a fight like flawless victory or fatality. It's like, I don't know why you said that. That's dumb, but you know what? I'm on board with it. Sure, do it.
Well, at least it recognizes that it is what it is. It's this is not high art. This is
Yeah,
very low art.
exactly. It's the thing is, it's low art but done well. You
Mhm.
can have low art executed poorly, and that's just bad. But low art executed great is John Wick. Like,
Right.
John Wick is just a goofy, dumbass action movie, but it's done so well that it becomes, a masterpiece.
Right.
Um, this is not that, but this is like a solid B. You know,
Okay.
yeah, it's a fun time. If you like in non-COVID times, it's a perfect like get your friends together, pop some beers, watch it, and like cheer at the fights.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah,
Now can we talk about some games?
I guess so. Well, AC Wraith says Kano is the movie's only saving grace. I don't think so. Kano is fun because he's an asshole and he's like always genuinely excited about getting superpowers. Um, but they don't really mess with the lore that much. I don't know. Is the lore of Mortal Kombat really like that sacred?
Blood Reaper says when you have Mortal Kombat money, you have to do it right.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. From what I've heard, this movie did pretty well, like at the Friday box office in its estimation for the weekend. I also found out this movie only cost like $50 million to make, which in
Really?
terms of like
A movie
Hollywood
that's cheap.
Hollywood action movies, that's pennies.
Right. That is dirt cheap.
Like I don't think Marvel knows how to make anything under 200 million.
Yeah, I see Wraith put up a link for the full movie complete saga, Mortal Kombat 9,
Oh
9, 10,
Jesus.
11, Ultimate, all cutscenes, full story, 60 FPS HD.
Oh
So you
shit.
can actually watch the full Mortal Kombat movie
Okay, how
in
long
its
is
out
that?
of cutscenes.
That's a
Ah.
trilogy. That is 11 and a half hours of Mortal Kombat. Holy shit.
Wow.
You
Wow.
know what? I
You
should
gotta
put
give props
this.
for the person that put that together.
Yeah. Oh, this was from MK Ice and Fire. I know them.
Yeah.
They do a lot of like full playthroughs of video games, which is actually really nice when you're trying to like look for a walkthrough or something.
Yeah, MK Ice and Fire is a really good channel. If you are not following them, you should look it up. MK Ice and Fire. I rely upon them for a lot of things, especially if I need a walkthrough. I will actually refer to them without somebody like fully explaining something. Granted, you have to do some scrubbing around to find like how do you get through this? But they have everything. They're very good. All
It
right. So I'll be
Scrubbing
right.
through that video, it's really interesting to see 9 versus 11 and just the level of graphical difference between them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, there really is, probably 4 to 6 years in between each of those games.
Yeah. Anything else before we want to talk about games?
Um, no,
You
no,
know, this
I'm
whole
still
reason why we're here.
I'm still slowly working my way through My Hero Academia and making my little model. I've like got one floor on the roof left, and I'm
So
partway
I
through season 3 of the show.
I purchased Funimation, a Funimation account.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
nice. That's a good choice. That's a good choice.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And yeah, I was like, should I do it? And then I got on their free 7-day trial, and it was like, everything. It's a free 7-day trial, and you get to see everything that they have, but you can't
Yeah.
watch it because they're like, oh, but this isn't available for you. I'm like, then it's not a trial.
Oh, really? I
I'm like,
didn't know they
fuck.
limited it like that. That's such a dick move.
It is a dick move. But, dick move, but I did it. I paid up. So, yeah, I got the Funimation account. I'm working my way through Fruits Basket. I know.
Yes. The new one or the old one?
Probably the old. There's two. I did not
Yeah,
realize.
there's a one that was made in the 90s and one that was made like
Oh
last
no,
year or
the ones.
something.
Yeah, the new one.
Okay,
Because
that's
it's
good.
in simulcast.
I've seen like the first 2 seasons of that one. And I
I
know
think it's up
that
to
one.
season 4 at this point.
I think that one will actually go to the end, whereas the first series didn't.
Yeah, I come back to this account, and I had it and then realized I wasn't watching anything on it, canceled it, renewed it, and of course now I have to go back to my queue and like find all this, like, oh, all these shows that didn't that stopped while I
Yeah.
have updated since I watched it last, which was what, 2 years ago. So now I've got a bunch of stuff to not only watch to get current on, but also kind of to go back and rewatch because I had
Mhm.
stopped watching it. Like it's been so long I don't remember the story.
If I
So,
can make a recommendation,
mhm.
this is one I want to go back to because I saw the sub but not the dub, and they recently put out season 2. Is Golden Kamuy.
Golden what?
Golden Kamuy. It's like Kamuy.
Okay.
It's like it's a cool adventure series about like this soldier trying to track down a treasure map that's supposed to be tattooed on various people's bodies. And so it's like trying to track down all these different peoples and put together their bodies to find a treasure map. And
Mhm.
like all the various, criminals and underworld shenanigans that he gets into with them. But what's funny is he's traveling with this like native girl, and maybe once per episode, they always briefly take this moment to really describe what they're cooking. Like,
Oh,
oh,
wow. Okay.
like, oh, oh, we got this deer. All right, I'm going to show you how to cook up this deer meat really, really good. Here's my, native recipe. And they really go into detail about that in a way that's charming. And the whole show is fun and probably like one of the best, I don't know, adventure series, something along the vein of like early Lord of the Rings, Indiana Jones, that kind of, I'm traveling through, meeting new people, adventure,
Mhm.
like 50s style serial adventure.
Got it. Yeah, I'd be interested in that. I also finished up watching is it what's it called? Is it okay to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Oh, I know that one. I haven't
It's a
seen it.
bit fan servicey.
Hmm.
A bit. I really wish that a lot of them wouldn't do that unnecessarily. I get that's a
Hmm.
thing. I find it, a little off-putting. But sometimes, I'll forgive it just because it's a good story. It's not a bad story. It's an interesting story.
Cool.
But I finished it up and it doesn't have any more on. It's on Netflix and
Okay.
nothing else on Netflix. So,
There's another one that came out on Netflix I really want to see called The
which
Way of the House Husband.
yes, I have watched The Way of the House
Oh
Husband.
yeah.
It's it's very small shorts. It's
I've seen it. There's
not
like 15 minutes.
right. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Very small bites. Usually there's 2 bites involved of 2 little like mini stories within there. So they're very tightly individually packaged stories about a yakuza who has retired from being a yakuza and is now he's known as, what was he
He's
known
like a
as? Like,
stay-at-home husband,
yes,
basically.
he's a stay-at-home husband.
House husband.
It's a house husband, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's and of course, you know, the crime lords don't believe it. And it's pretty good.
That's cool. Good to know.
But it's definitely little tiny fluffy bites, not any
Yeah.
great story behind it that I've
That's
seen so
good.
far.
That other one on Netflix, The Angry Cat, Agritsuko,
Oh, Agritsuko
was a lot like that.
No, Agritsuko had every
No, well,
season
it had
has a major story arc.
okay, but it was very short episodes.
It was short episodes, right?
Yeah.
Actually, not so much. I mean, they were 20-minute episodes.
Were they? I thought they were like
Yeah,
10.
yeah. No, they were 20-minute episodes, and Agritsuko absolutely such a good show. Such a good show. If you haven't watched Agritsuko, you must see Agritsuko. It is pretty much the perfect Edie anime. It is awesome. Yeah, it is a badass show, and it is anime for someone who doesn't watch anime. Kevin cannot stand anime. And he loved Agritsuko.
Cool.
AC Ray says it looks like Netflix had only one season of Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Watch it on Crunchy. Oh, Crunchyroll has the whole thing. Okay, all right, I'll pick it up. That's what I figured, because Netflix frequently has one season of a show of an anime, and it's like, oh, there's only one season. It's like, oh, but you go somewhere else, it's like 6 seasons.
And I feel like Netflix has the dubs of something. They don't have a lot that's just subtitles.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Maybe I feel like recently I've noticed that a lot of the anime they've put out is dubbed. Like the show I was watching a bit ago called Food Wars. They got 3 seasons of that, and 3 seasons are dubbed. There's actually like 6 seasons though, but the other 3 aren't actually dubbed yet, and so I assume that's why it's not on Netflix.
Maybe. Yeah, I've found a lot of subs on
I mean,
Netflix.
there is subtitled stuff, yes, but I think a lot of what they offer at least has the option for dubs. Even live action stuff, there's always like a dub associated with it.
Not always. No, a lot of their Asian, because I mean, I almost exclusively watch a Korean and Japanese shows on Netflix, and almost all of them are subs. They will have the occasional dub if it is a Netflix original, but their dubs are really good. Really good. Like Ragnarok, which is Norwegian, I think, is dubbed and very good. One of my favorite shows, unfortunately, that doesn't look like it's going to get a second season is Nobody's Looking. Such a good show. Such a fucking funny show. And it's Brazilian, so it's in Portuguese, and it is so good, and it's probably not going to get a second season, unfortunately. Just a heartbreak on that one.
I think maybe it's a lot of the stuff that it recommends to me has a dub option then. So
yeah, according to AC Race, there's 3 seasons of Dungeon with more coming and on Crunchyroll. Well, good to know. And yeah, there's the link for The Way of the House Husband. Yeah, The Way of the House Husband is like 2 10-minute, like 2 10-minute stories in each episode of 20 minutes.
It's paced like the old Nickelodeon cartoons.
Like the old Nickelodeon cartoons. Yep.
Cool.
All right, so can we talk about some games, please?
I guess. I don't know what's worth talking about. I'm in the middle of a game right now I could talk about. Or we could talk about that other shitty thing that's like great and awful at the same time that makes me wanna.
Which do you want? Curious Expedition or Outriders? Pick one.
Oh, I'll talk about Curious Expedition first.
Okay.
Um, I just started playing it recently, like kind of just today before the podcast, because I wanted something to talk about other than Outriders. And it is kind
Is this
of
Curious
a
Expedition 2 or Curious Expedition?
d- one. I
Okay.
didn't know there was a two.
Well, I'm doing a search on it. It's bringing up Curious Expedition 2, so I
Okay,
don't know.
well, shit, that's actually good to know. Um, so yeah, it's kind of a roguelike. It's a roguelike expedition game where you kind of play as an explorer, in the old uh Spanish conquistador type of explorer, while you're going out into these foreign lands and finding shrines and finding native villages, all in search. Each time you go out, you're looking for the golden pyramid. And so that's kind of your goal. And as you explore the land, it's all tile based, and every time you move a tile, it's like a turn, and your sanity goes down. And so you need to have resources to keep your sanity up. Things like food, whiskey, resting can do it too.
I'm okay with that. That
Yeah.
keeps my sanity up.
Oh yeah. So I'll get into the. You can recruit guys on your side. Before each expedition, you can usually recruit one person or two persons, depending on the perk you have, to go with you on the expedition. And like any good roguelike, some have benefits and drawbacks. A guy may be more loyal, but he may have a flaw, like he may be afraid of the unknown. One of my guys on an expedition developed a fear of heights when we camped out on a mountain. Or one of my guys also, uh, I originally chose him because he got a sanity bonus when drinking whiskey. So that instead of just getting 10 points back, I would get 30 points back. And that's really great. Unfortunately, after he almost died, he developed an alcoholism problem. And so now I need to constantly ply him with alcohol, or he will become disloyal and risk leaving me. Um, at the top of the show, I was in an expedition with one Jim Sterling. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what was the YouTube show he has? I forget what YouTube show, but he used to write for The Escapist, and he's
Escapist.
actually in the game. You can tell by the little like character portrait they have does look like him. He got injured, and what happens is if someone is injured and you go a couple days without treating that injury, it can become infected. And if you go several more days without treating that infection, they can die. And so these are all the typical risks associated with this kind of exploration roguelike game. Think of something like FTL, where you're hopping through a map, uh, and every time it's like, oh, there's an enemy, or there's like someone you can talk to. What I do like about this game, though, is that you're not just hopping from node to node, which is what exploration counts has in these type of roguelike games usually. You actually have a big world map, and you can choose, I want to go north, south, east, or west. Like, I want to explore this map. And every time you do, you kind of fill it out as the fog of war lifts when you go exploring. And what's neat is if you come across certain things like a shrine, one of the reasons you are out exploring is for fame. And part of that means do the Indiana Jones thing and fucking raid tombs and bring all the stuff back for museum to become a famous explorer. Um, but every time you do take something from a shrine, you kind of risk getting cursed. One of my people drank from a goblet and got inhuman strength, but then opened a tomb and got cursed and was murdered when we returned home. By
Oh.
coincidence. By coincidence. I don't think it was the curse. Other times, if you find treasure in a shrine and you take it, uh, you can then destroy all the land surrounding that shrine. It could become flooded. It could become iced. It could become desert. Uh, in the current game that I'm playing now, I found a cave and I explored it, found a tunnel, and took me all the way to the other side of the map. Neat. I'm exploring. Uh, I ex- took some stuff from a shrine, and it ended up flooding all of the land behind me. So I ran north. Turns out there was a mountain range that I could not pass because I don't have climbing gear. So I was stuck. Uh, and then in order to go back, I couldn't just go back the way I came. I had to go south, kind of west, all the way around the giant lake I had created by stealing stuff from the shrine in order to go east and try to go north to find the golden pyramid that would end my expedition. The problem, though, is that that's a very long way to travel. And like I said before, every tile you step on takes a little bit of your sanity away. And so the more you travel, you constantly need to be refreshing your sanity. And so I've run into an issue with the current game where my sanity's low. I found a camp, found some whiskey, got shit faced on whiskey. All right, this is good. Traveled up, uh, hit another dead end that happened to be full of giant birds and tigers. So I had to run from them while one of my guys got injured. That's how Jim Sterling ended up dying. A giant bird attacked him and my alcoholic companion. I only had one med kit. I healed my alcoholic instead of him, and Jim Sterling ended up dead. And so a lot of the game, I'm playing on easy mode, and it definitely is easy. But thankfully, it's a roguelike that actually does have easy, medium, and hard modes. Because normally in a game like this, I've said before how I don't like roguelikes because it's just so much repetition, and I feel like I'm always forced to play like the beginning parts over and over and over again until it just kind of becomes boring. Playing this on easy is really nice because up until this expedition, things have been going relatively well for me. Um, and that allowed me to get a bunch of supplies, which has allowed me on this expedition. Things go wrong. I kind of do something to solve it. Something else goes wrong. I have enough something to solve it. Something else goes wrong. And it's just constant up and down, up and down. That makes for a really fun story. And so I'm glad that this game offers that kind of easy mode. In the larger picture, what you're trying to do really is to become like the best explorer as part of this explorers club. And part of that is beating other explorers. So, like I said, the goal of each expedition is to find the Golden Temple. You're actually in a race with other people to do that. And the other people include things like Charles Darwin, Amelia Earhart. Motherfucking Harriet Tubman has been on my ass this whole goddamn expedition race. I've been able to get ahead of her. I'm still the number one explorer, but fucking Harriet Tubman, man. Ugh. She just keeps finding those temples. Um, and so it creates this interesting give and take where, you know, you want to take a lot of those artifacts from shrines, but every time you do, you risk flooding, you risk fire, you risk volcanoes, all things that have happened to me after stealing something from a shrine. Also, the natives will not like you. And if you get the natives to not like you too much, they won't let you rest at their camp, which can be really bad when, you're low on sanity, you're trying to explore, you come across a village, and they say, fuck off. That kind of sucks. But you can also ease that by recruiting diplomats to your team to kind of, hey, talk them out, smooth things over. So there's a lot of fun give and take with this. And playing it on easy has been good because it's allowed me to actually get to see a lot of these mechanics at work instead of just having to play through over and over and over again. I've been able to, over the course of I think 3 hours I've played it, to see all the mechanics at work, and it's been really cool. So like I said, you want to take all the artifacts from shrines. When you get back after an expedition, you can either give them to a museum to boost your fame and boost yourself in the race to become the most famous explorer, or you could sell it to get money to help fund your next expedition. And so there's this nice balance of, well, A, how many artifacts do I want to take? Do I actually want to risk stealing this artifact and causing a disaster? And B, once I get back, do I want to sell it or do I want to give it to a museum? And so there's a lot going on. And the roguelike aspect, each expedition is randomized, but because you're part of this larger race, each game consists of multiple expeditions. So, like right now, I'm on expedition number 5, and
Mm-hmm.
things carry over. So, like all the equipment I had in the beginning, some of it has carried over into the end. And so, one of the issues I've had with this last expedition is that previously I've used up all of my food items that will give me sanity and let me keep exploring. And so that means with this expedition, the moment I encountered a dead end and had to take a detour, I burned through what few resources I had left. So I've been really scrounging for the last couple turns, and that's been fun. And so I'm not sure how many expeditions there are in the game. I'm not sure like when the race ends, like what point number of fame you have to get up to. But it is kind of nice to see every time I finish an expedition, oh, how close is Harriet Tubman? Oh, Charles Darwin's way in the back. I don't got to worry about him. And yeah, it does the thing that I think a good one of these games does is to provide you with fun stories, like how I hit a dead end after flooding my retreat path that forced me into another dead end with a giant bird and a tiger who wounded my people. Jim Sterling ended up dying, and now it's just me, my ox, and my alcoholic friend trying to find a fucking way out.
Sounds like a Saturday night.
Yep.
All right. So that actually sounds cool. What are you playing this on? Is this
PlayStation? This is one of the games I bought like a couple weeks ago as part of that huge ass indie sale. My 13 games that I bought. This is one of them. And after, taking a detour with a bunch of Outriders, I figured it was time for me to go back to some of those games.
Yeah. So speaking of which, let's talk Outriders. You go through like really enjoying this game and then really fucking hating this game. Good Lord, I have never heard you complain more in a game than playing this game with you. Like you just you hate it, you really hate it.
Yes. And I've noticed recently that I think I hate a lot of the beast fights. I don't like how it handles beast fights because they give so many different enemies and they all have like ranged attacks for the beasts, and you've got like birds flying overhead, you've got like guys down below charging at you, and the pace of it, like you have an enemy that keeps jumping at you, and so you back up to retreat and it lunges at you and closes that distance instantly. You back off to try to get distance and shoot him, and he closes that distance instantly. So you back off again, and then you've got people shooting you from above, you've got people shooting you from below, and it's just so much that it feels lazy. It doesn't feel like it's a fight that's designed in any way to be strategic or thoughtful or anything like that. It's just, hey, here's a shit ton of enemies. Either you are equipped enough to kill them or you're not. That's it. And it doesn't feel like an RPG. It feels like a grindy ass loot game where, an RPG, if you get into this tough fight, hey, if I got the right equipment, if I've got like the right mods, if I'm just good enough with the game and I can dodge things right, I can kill them. I can get past it. I can skill my way out of a tough fight. But you can't do that. At least I finished the game, and so now I'm into the end game expeditions, and I think that's where I've really encountered the worst of it. Is that some of those expeditions, they're just big arenas. And when I no longer have the carrot on a stick of the story to pull me through, I find that just the combat is it's really difficult to keep me invested when it's just combat, and so often it's these really kind of bullshit design fights that are just they feel binary. You know, either you're equipped enough to complete it or you're not. That's it. And if you're not one or the other, no matter what you do doesn't matter in the fight. It's like if
Mhm.
you're equipped enough, you'll get through it. Cool. If you're not equipped enough,
It
you
all
won't get
comes
through
down.
it.
It all comes down to this equipment. And I
And
dare
that's
I
it.
say
And
that it. I don't want to say that skill is not important, but at least you're right. There is a feeling that it's really not about skill. It's about your loadout, and your
yeah.
equipment, and what skills you have. And there is no amount of skill that can make up for not the right combination of skills, like perks, not the right perks on your weapons. Like you could have a amazing amount of accuracy and actually be really good at the game, but if you don't have your thing balanced properly, it doesn't matter. You're gonna die, and you're not gonna do well, and you can't progress. And so yeah, I mean, that's where I am right now with you, is that you know I finished this game before you did. I've got really good skills. I've got all the perks. I've got great equipment. And yet I cannot figure out why you're doing 8 times the damage that I'm doing. And I was thinking, well, maybe it's because I'm a trickster and you're a pyromancer and you're kind of damage based and I'm kind of more mobility based and uh, uh crowd control. And then we got in with this other guy last night who was a random that was a trickster, and he out damaged you by a long shot.
Oh yeah.
And then I realized, okay, it's me. It's my loadout. I move stuff around, and the more I tried to increase my firepower, the worse I was doing, and the quicker I was dying, or going down, and I'm having to be saved. So yeah, it's all about loot. It is capital L looter shooter.
And like my real problem with the game, what makes me hate it so much is that it's a really good loot game and I keep fucking coming back to it no matter how much I bitch and moan about playing it. Every now and then I'm like, yeah, you know what? I could run an expedition now. I'm gonna try that. I'm just gonna bring up Outriders for a couple hours. It's like, motherfucker.
You
Like
go away and you're just so full of rage when you play this game.
every
You're
time,
so
like,
angry.
you know what? Maybe this game will be different. Maybe
This
this game
one
will
will
be
be
different.
different.
And you know what? Some of them are. Some of them are
It's
like,
an
oh shit,
abusive
this is
relationship.
really good. And the thing is, like, as it go up the tiers, you do get better equipment. And like, oh, I got a legendary. This is actually a really good legendary. Fuck. Now I want to keep playing. God damn it.
It's
And
a
so
combination of an abusive relationship and drugs.
no, but the relationship is good, you know? There is a love
He's
there.
not
There
gonna hit
is.
me this time. He brought flowers. He swears he'll never do it again. Maybe this time will be different. Yeah. Yeah. It is a bit like an abusive
You know,
relationship
we
that way.
went on a date and it was really good. Nothing bad happened. I think he's changed.
I think he's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Oh fuck, there's
there's
another sniper. Nope.
Well, I mean, I guess that's sort of the strategy of it, is that you can do better if you do things like get somebody out there who can take out the snipers fast.
Mhm.
That's the actual strategy of the fights. There is none other than the most basic. Um, Knock down as many of the little squishy ads, get rid of the snipers first off, and then try and just wear down the boss.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I get it, that why you would be frustrated with it. I kind of like the chaotic kind of going in there, and it's just like, just shoot at something, anything, just shoot. And because the more that you shoot, the longer you live. If you're not shooting, you're dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it kind of gives you that feeling of being a supreme god. Like, you're just
In
just
in the in the
going in
good
and just
moments it
annihilating
does, and
everything.
then in the bad moments you feel like a little kid playing as a god, and then it's like, oh no, you thought you were special? No,
No, you're not.
yeah.
You're not. You thought you were good? Yeah, you're not.
And so I also want to know, because one of the things that you run into with the expeditions, especially, is that you need to play with other people to get to the higher tiers.
Right.
And from what I found, like, I can make my game open, but is there a way that I can go searching for people? Like,
No.
let me find an open game.
Oh, yes. Yes, you can go into a random dungeon and you can join up with other people, which
How
is
do
what
you do that? How do I do that?
it's right above where it says join friends. It says enter a random dungeon.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, but see on the
Hey,
menu right here in the video, it says play with friends and party.
right. No, that's the wrong one. It's the wrong one. You have to go into the other one. It'll say
Okay.
play random dungeon. Yeah. I will show you next time.
Okay, yeah,
Hey,
then
I need to
I'll
have
try
you
that.
take over the show for a second. I will be right back.
Okay. So yes, I did finish the story. And I think it holds up pretty well. Like I said, the beginning I thought was, like I said last week, I think the beginning is a little rough just because it feels super nihilistic that, oh, these people went off to explore and find a new world to save humanity. And because of this natural disaster, everything just descends into war. And these two sides are just kind of in this endless battle, killing each other. And the game seems pretty unafraid to introduce a character and then kill them off really quickly. And so it just feels like a really nihilistic type of game. But then you start getting cast members and you start actually leaving that war behind, going off to explore and entering new environments as you do. And the farther away from humanity you get, the better the story gets, in a really kind of darkly funny way. Um, though it does then kind of wrap back around, and I think there is, in the end, the kind of humans are the real monster type of, you know, moralizing that I thought was kind of worked, kind of didn't. I'd prefer if it just stuck to the sci-fi stuff. I think it does its best when it's the sci-fi mystery of exploring the unknown, exploring these strange new lands, kind of like Curious Expedition. I don't know, maybe I'm just in an exploration mood, but I really liked the pace of Outriders when you were going into lands that were like untouched by man. Um, the last boss, I'll agree with Edie, kind of bullshit in that you're fighting one person, and that one person spawns like these balls that will appear that basically act as turrets and start shooting at you. And what makes that final fight really frustrating is you cannot use your abilities against those turrets. And so as someone like me, who a lot of my damage happens through my abilities, I can't just like throw a fireball at those turrets and destroy them. I have to shoot them. And that takes a lot of time. That, the advantage of the abilities is that they do a lot of damage very quickly. It's a single button press. And when you can't do that, it feels like the game is kind of tying one arm behind your back. Like, hey, here's this boss fight, and this boss is going to spawn minions, but you cannot actually use half of your arsenal against those minions. And it feels uncomfortable. It feels bad, and it wasn't enjoyable. But thankfully, the boss wasn't too difficult when you turn down the difficulty.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, if you're going to solo it, you have to turn down the
Yeah.
difficulty. I went in afterwards as a multiplayer for a random for doing the campaign rather than doing the expeditions. Expeditions, you can go in after the fact and go after the drop pods. That's kind of end game stuff. You can go back and also join in somebody else's campaign. And I went into one with a campaign and with two other guys, and it rapidly devolved into just total fuckery. I mean, it was hard. It was really hard to get through. I forget which level we were at. I think we were at level 6 or 7, and it was almost impossible. We failed multiple times
Really, for this boss.
for this boss. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Pissed in the chat says he's about to go into the forest. I think the forest is where the story actually starts to get good,
Get
because
good.
that's
Mhm.
when you start leaving behind the nihilistic, war-torn humanity.
Right. Yeah, and the thing I hate most about the boss fight is that you finish the final boss and you think, "Oh, I did it! I got through it!" And it's like, and there's another one. This game is really good at throwing and
Yeah.
another one at you. Just when you like, and then you realize, oh shit, I gotta do that again to something else that's worse. Yeah, it's really good for that. So, yeah, so that's Outriders. So, I've got one game that sort of, I mean, I don't really know if I want to talk about it because I tried playing Stellaris console version. I tried. That's the only thing I could say.
Didn't like it, or was it like badly designed?
I have to watch a lot of videos to figure out even how to
Oh,
play the
okay.
game.
One of those games. I mean, it is a paradox game.
It's a paradox game. It needs to have a full research to figure out how to play it. And I saw it on console. I know that they've gotten a new like DLC for it. So, and I've been seeing it show up on my feed. It's like, oh, Stellaris. Yeah, I might be interested in that. I've been watching some feeds of kind of out of the corner of my eye while I'm working. It's like, okay, love live stream of somebody playing Stellaris. Yeah, that looks kind of interesting. And then I noticed it was on Game Pass. I'm like, oh, I will pick that up. And not without the DLC. It's the original game. So I picked it up. I'm like, yeah, all right. So this is the console version, not the PC version, which everybody else in the world plays. But I'll see. I watched a little bit of it, so I kind of sort of know what it's all about. Yeah, I couldn't even get menus to open. Yeah,
That
it's a
sounds
paradox
like
game.
that's the paradox I know.
Yeah, yeah. So, I will report back when I figure out how to play this game about whether it's a good game or not. So yeah, that's mine. World's shortest review of a game.
It's a pre-review.
It's a pre-review. AC Ray says Space Game Junkie isn't a fan. That's how you could pretty much say every Paradox game is like that. Just simply because all of them their strategy games are incredibly complex. And I'm only just starting to get into these kind of big strategy paradoxian games.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if you dig into it more, like if your knowledge of Crusader Kings and those mechanics helps carry over in any way into Stellaris.
Right. Or the other thing I'm interested in possibly is I think is it Rome Remastered? No, some other game that I recently saw. I'm like, oh, that looks kind of interesting in that it's a strategy game, but you can also like a top-down strategy game, turn-based, but it's also you can go in, you can either auto fight a war or you can actually go in and do the war physically, like do the tactics.
Oh yeah, like a
war.
real-time game.
Yeah.
I think that's isn't that Rome Total War? Aren't
Is it
those
Rome
games
Total
like that?
War? Let me see. I will
I
have
thought
to
that's what
look.
the Total War games were
Let me
like.
see what my history is because I just watched something about it yesterday. Yeah,
Oh,
total Warhammer Total War.
okay. And for Stellaris, AC Wraith in the chat says that game in particular has been torn apart and rebuilt into something different with the DLC.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't know enough about strategy games. Like I said, I've only just started to even remotely become interested in them. And I think that the one thing that might be keeping me from being more interested in them right now is the price of video cards.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I have a Mac, and I know that if I really do this, I'm going to want a PC. The problem is that I'm not going to go out and buy. I don't have the money to go out and just buy a high-end gaming PC. I would have to build a high-end gaming PC, and you can't build a high-end gaming PC because of the cost of the video cards. So then I'm left with I got to go buy one at full price, and more so because of course all the prices are more expensive because the video cards are more expensive. So yeah.
Yeah. I'd be curious if AC Wraith knows this, so if this is something we'd have to check out. Like, is that true for the console game too? Like the Xbox version, has that version been updated alongside with the PC, or is it lagging behind those significant updates?
Yeah, yeah. It didn't really say anything about the DLC. I'm thinking it
Yeah,
might be the original.
because I know Game Pass games don't usually have DLC in them.
Right. Um anyway, so we'll see. I've also picked up and just like played maybe 15 minutes before I started to fall asleep. And that was when I called it. I should have probably even started. It was Yes Your Grace. I wanted to play around with that as well. So yeah, that's all we got. Anything else before we hit the news you want to talk about?
No.
All right, then let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news, views, and commentary of the game week in gaming with Nick DiNicola and Edie Sellers. And our first item is
There Sony, a lot of Sony stuff this week. One of the things that they have announced is that they are backpedaling their decision to close the PS3 and Vita stores.
that. It sort of surprises me, and I think that they're surprised. It's a signal of their surprise to find out that that many people were interested in the Vita store and the PS3 store. Because
Yeah,
I figured, like, it's like shutting down a server on a game nobody plays. It's going to happen. I think that it hit them as a very big surprise
it's
that anybody had any complaints about this.
yeah, it's one of those things that they will try again in 10 years, and at that point, no one will care because it's like, oh, the PS3 and Vita, yeah, no, we don't use those stores anymore.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
It's like I guess there's enough legacy users and legacy content there because there were several like PS3 downloadable games that would then become Xbox exclusive by default because you could just no longer play them on the PS4 through that.
Right.
Um, and yeah, like things like that, and sort of the realization that there's a lot of stuff stuck in this store.
Yep.
Made people decry it and say this is a bad decision. You shouldn't do this.
And
And
it
it
also
was
didn't help that they
apparently
shut down a lot of the updates, the updating servers on a lot of the games, so that you couldn't, even
oh
if you bought something as a last minute, like, oh, they're shutting down the store, I want to buy it now because I won't have a chance later. You couldn't actually update it because the updates were already shut down.
so this is the right decision on their front. Like it's good that they reversed this. And I'm sure that it takes some resources, but if it takes like a team of 3 to 5 people just managing this database for the goodwill of the consumer, like just keep it going for another 5 to 10 years until like that stuff gets gradually outdated to the point where no one does care about it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ryan Son Stevenson just gave me I have to look into it because I did not know about that. So give me a second and I will look into that story. But my first item is pulling up my thing. Let's talk about Bungie.
Okay.
This is kind of my one big story. Man, I have one big story and a couple little ones. ones. So the first one is Bungie. Bungie has taken a shit ton of heat this week regarding transmogs. They've just made an announcement that they're going to be implementing a new transmog system in Destiny 2 that is universally hated and is clearly a really bad fucking cash grab. So here's the story. So if you're not aware, transmogs are systems that you can change the appearance of your armor or your weapons. Just change appearances of your items without actually changing the stats. So say that you've got a trials set that you like the stats on, but you've got another set that you really like the looks of. You can actually take the looks of the one that you like the looks of and paste it onto your trial set, and it won't change the won't change the stats, won't change the functionality of your pieces, but it just changes the way you look. It's a quality of life thing. It's just a thing that has been done a lot. I mean, how many games have allowed you to change the color or the look of your armor? Just the cosmetic, essentially, of your armor. Well, Bungie previously had allowed you to change the appearance of your armor doing something what they called universal ornament system, which allowed only certain pieces of armor to have their appearance changed. You couldn't change any armor, but you could change certain armor.
Okay.
Well, this week they made the announcement that in the future you'll be able to change any armor you've collected to look like any other armor you've collected, which sounds great. And they're calling the system the armor synthesis system. So if you have a raid set, you want to change the raid set, you can change any piece of that raid set to look like your trial set or whatever, any kind to change it to any other armor, that look of any other armor that you've collected or had. Here's where the problem comes in. Transmogs in the past have been something that you could do for free. For ever since you could change the look of an armor, it's been one of those things that has been throughout most games for free. Only recently did it kind of sort of become a thing where it might be something you have to pay for in order to do it. Valhalla began doing it using in-game currency, which would of course limited. And conveniently, you can also, if you don't have enough, buy it for real money. Fans were not happy with that system, but it is what it is. Bungie's is even worse than Valhalla's. Here's what you have to do in order to transmog under this new armor synthesis system. First, you have to earn synth strands by killing enemies. So you kill a bunch of enemies, you get synth strands. Then you have to get 150 synth strands, and you can turn them into an NPC that will give you a bounty to complete. If you kill enough of those bounties, you get synth cord. Then you have to collect synth cord, take it to the loom in the tower, and then weave it into synth weave. You can use synth weave to change the look of your armor.
Jesus Christ. That's like there's 4 steps. Okay. Go through that again. How many steps is that?
You have to kill enemies and get synth strands.
Okay, and every enemy drops synth strands. Like it's just
I don't know if every enemy drops synth strands.
Okay, like how common is this thing
I don't know.
Going to become the basis of a whole economic system?
I could not tell you. But you got to collect 150 synth strands from killing enemies to turn into an NPC.
Okay. You turn into synth strands and you get
bounties.
Oh, you get... So you got to pay a guy to get a bounty. How the fuck does that
make sense? You got to kill the bounties to get the core, the synth cord. Then you got to take the synth cord and you got to weave it into synth weave.
A bounty is that you get paid for dealing with someone's problem.
You do.
I'm not buying a bounty from you. I'm doing you a fucking favor. That's why you pay me for it. What? So you collect this shit to pay a guy to give you a job,
So
and
that you
then when
can
you
collect
complete
more
that
shit
job, you get
that you
synth
can weave into
strands
what you need.
that you can weave, and then you actually buy it. So buying is step 5.
Right. Actually making the change is step 5. Using the material synth weave that you get from synth cord, which you got from synth strands.
So now the question is, how many synth cords do you need to actually make that change?
That actually is not the question. Here's the hit. You can only earn 10 synth weave per season per class. So there is a limit to the amount of synth weave that you can have by
So,
playing.
so
You
there's a
can
limit to what you
how
can
much you can
change.
earn by regular playing.
Huh.
But, and I will read from Bungie's announcement. This is a quote. Want more? Then you're going to have to visit the Eververse store where you can purchase Synthweave templates individually for 300 silvers or in bundles of 5 for 1,000 silver. Destiny 2 silver costs $5 a stack for 500.
So you can only get
That's why
10
it's so
cords.
difficult. You have to grind that shit out. They've made it so that pretty much at some point, a good amount of people are going to go, fuck it, I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah.
So somebody did an analysis of how many hours it would take to grind out to be able to, granted, this is way over the top, but given how many pieces of armor there are in the game, if you wanted to transmog every piece of armor in the game, it would take you 12 and a half years of play. That's assuming they don't put any new armor out in the next 12 and a half years. Or something along the lines of $4,000 to purchase. So, in addition, the cost of shaders is being increased. So shaders are the thing that allow you to change the color or the shading of your arm, not the appearance, just the color or the shading. And previously you had to have a legendary shard to make this kind of change. They dropped the requirement, which is good. But to purchase the shaders from Eververse, the Eververse store, it jumped from 40 to 300 bright dust, 7.5 times what it was previous to this announcement. So you pretty much have to grind 7.5 times more to get 300 bright dust, or you guessed it, you buy silver.
Yeah, that really sucks.
Yeah, the community's not happy, to say the least. They're not happy about the cap. They're most of all not happy about the transmog system being put behind a paywall. And for the most part, unless you want to go through this incredibly convoluted, confusing, and time and labor intensive system to change anything, it's been quite a few people who have mentioned that this kind of system is something that you would see in a free to play game, not in a paid game like Destiny 2. And a lot of people are suggesting.
Destiny is free to play, though.
Is it?
It became that.
But a lot of people didn't.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of people have bought it and
paid for the game.
Still paying for it, yeah.
Yeah. So
I think for Destiny, I don't know exactly what parts of it are free to play, but I know it's making that transition.
Yeah. Blood Reaper says, "Welcome to Destiny 2." There is more to that. Oh, okay. It is free now. Okay, that's good to know.
Okay.
But beyond that, what was I about to say? I was about to tell you something else. Gosh darn it, can't remember. Anyway, yeah, people are not happy at all about this. And it's cash grab. It's flat out cash grab. We are going to make this. We're going to make it incredibly labor intensive for you to make these changes. Make it really confusing. make it really hard to be able to complete even a single one. And then on top of that, we're going to cap it. So at some point, if you are really into this transmog system, because some people are really, really into it. And it is a quality of life thing. So yeah, you're going to end up paying. So people are going to end up shelling out cash for it.
Well, one thing you won't be shelling out cash for, if you're playing Destiny 2 on Xbox, you will no longer need a gold subscription to play it. Microsoft is doing away with the gold requirement to play a bunch of free-to-play games, so that now you can actually play them for free without having to buy a gold subscription. And I'll list the games in a moment, but also the party chat is now outside of the gold restriction. I didn't even know that before that had been restricted to only gold members, but now if you're just a silver member,
you couldn't get online for anything. When you didn't have Xbox Gold, you couldn't do anything other than go on and play a game and log off.
Yeah. So this is good. This is really, really good, and it feels like it's about fucking time in a lot of ways. But so some of they listed the specific games that are now like actually free to play, not just it's not just every free to play game is now outside that restriction. I think they lifted it for 50 games specifically. But it includes all the heavy hitters like Destiny 2, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Rocket League, Smite, Warframe, Warzone, Dauntless, World of Warships, all the things like that. Generally, any free-to-play game that you would be playing, you no longer need the gold to play it.
I think that this is very much going, well, Microsoft in the last couple of years has done a lot to try and backtrack from all of the bad mojo that they generated within the community with the Xbox One. They gotta give credit to Phil. He knows what he's doing, and he knows that the small cuts, death by 1,000 cuts, that's very much what Xbox was doing, and Sony very much capitalized on that in the last generation cycle. Now we're working on a new cycle, and it's like, all right, we need to fix this shit, because Sony is not what you'd call the most gamer friendly. They won, if I'm going to say winning a console war, they won last generation by default. It wasn't so much that they did something really great. It's just that Xbox lost.
Well, and
Sony had no problem poking fun at them for losing. But it
wasn't just that. Sony put out a lot of genuinely great first-party games.
Yes, they did.
And Microsoft kind of didn't even get halfway there.
Right. But even before it was out, I mean, PlayStation was making fun about how to share a game on PlayStation. Because Microsoft had made such horrible, what's his bucket?
Like Microsoft tripped at the start of the race. And
somebody fucked up over there.
Caught up.
What was his name? I always forget his
name.
Don Matrick. Because Don Matrick's so fucked up.
Yeah.
Man should have never been made ahead of Xbox. Never. Shouldn't even have been made ahead of where did he go to afterwards after Xbox?
Was it? It wasn't Zynga.
Zynga.
Was it King?
It was Zynga.
He actually went to Zynga?
He went to Zynga. Yeah, shouldn't have been made ahead of Zynga. That man should never be allowed near a gaming company again. Just, send him to some widget factory.
I mean, it is interesting there. Looking back and thinking about their original pitch, like the whole, it's your one stop for entertainment. It's a game console that doubles as a cable box. Like, that's not necessarily a bad idea, but it came like a decade too late.
Yes.
Because now everyone is just using the apps the streaming apps that were already being included in things like the 360 and PlayStation 3.
Well, no, they were definitely too early. They were way too early. I was
No,
not
no,
prepared
I
to
think
turn my gaming console into my television. Place I put my cable through. I was not ready for that.
that's my point. They were too late because like people don't want a cable box. They don't want that. The streaming apps are just the easier thing. If they had a game console cable box in the PlayStation 2 era, that
Oh, I
would
see
have
what you're
been the
saying.
best
Yeah.
thing.
Okay.
But now, like these type of boxes underneath the thing are going into, an app-based economy where everything is using streaming apps, and these consoles already have all that stuff.
Yeah, it was
There's no
a
need for a cable
fundamental
box.
lack of understanding of media consumption, or lack of ability to predict media consumption accurately.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, hey, we got a new improved buggy whip. It's like, yeah, by that point, we were already moving on to apps. And PlayStation knew that.
Yeah, well,
They didn't try to do anything
they
better
kept
than
doing
what
what
they
they were
did.
doing.
They
Kept
knew,
trudging
well,
along.
they were smart. They knew that Xbox was not going to do well. They knew, and they just let Xbox shoot themselves in the foot and created a machine to make fun of them at every opportunity, including by allowing us one more extra person on the friends list. Remember that?
Yes.
You could have 99 friends on the Xbox playlist, and then the day after, Microsoft or PlayStation said, "Oh, you can have 100 or 101, whatever it was. It was one extra person in your friends list." Yeah. Now they set up that machine. Mwah. Chef's kiss for that one.
Of course, with the as the years go on, like you've said before, they became maybe less consumer friendly. But this week, Sony was to put out a lot of news to try to be good to people.
Yeah, they had a lot
One
to
of
make up for this week.
So one of those things is that they announced that PlayStation Now is going to receive an upgrade that will allow it to stream things at 1080p. That's really good for some of the games, some of the PS4 games that were on there, because when you think about it, a lot of the games on PS Now were meant to be the legacy PlayStation titles that the consoles don't have backwards compatibility for. And so you didn't necessarily have to stream at 1080p because a lot of those games weren't even made at that resolution. But as more PS4 games get put on that service, it's nice that this service can now actually stream at that resolution.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So what other updates you have on PSN? Because you said you had multiple.
Yes. Sid Schumann had a blog post when he's detailing about Horizon Zero Dawn becoming free for about the rest of April. I think you can still. Oh wait, no. Nah, it was until April 22nd. Oh no, until May 14th. Nice City games that can only May 14th is when Horizon Zero Dawn will no longer be free. So there's still time to go download that and add it to your library, which you should because it's awesome game. But in it, he was detailing that he teased that their Play at Home initiative that made a couple indie games, well, like 10 indie games last week free, that made Horizon Zero Dawn free, that there's going to be more coming soon. So that with Play at Home, they're sort of, here's some free games to keep you inside, sheltering in place while COVID goes on. They're going to be offering some more things. Who knows what that will be? It could be another set of indie games, could be another like exclusive of theirs, but just they're giving away more free shit to members of their community, which is always nice. Never turn down a free game.
Never. Actually, that's not true. There's some free games you should not try.
True. And also, one of the things that happened this week is that Sony has started testing a PlayStation Plus Video Pass. It is currently in a testing service in Poland, and it will allow PS4 and 5 users to access like 20 movies and television shows from Sony Pictures as part of the PS Plus subscription. So that
That's not bad.
yeah,
I would do that.
And it's interesting because Sony is a movie studio in addition to being a game studio. And so if they start to offer some sort of, movie pass to compensate for their lack of Microsoft's Game Pass, that's an interesting compromise of theirs, of using their own strengths to kind of buffer the PSN subscription. Right now,
Got
it's
it.
just in testing, and I don't actually know what movies or TV shows are available.
Mhm.
But it's just interesting that they are considering this.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good idea. They've got access to it. It would make sense that if you
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
they've gotten this content.
you got the content, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's also interesting because I know Sony was in the news recently for making a deal with Netflix that their Netflix would be like the home for movies after the theatrical run. So, and then it would go to Disney Plus, so that a Sony movie goes into theaters. After theaters, it would go on to Netflix for a couple months, and then after Netflix, it would go on to Disney Plus as like a permanent home.
Mhm.
And I read some things about both of those are pretty big deals, and it makes sense for Sony because they're one of the few big movie studios that don't have their own
Doesn't have their own
streaming
streaming
service.
service, right?
And so they're just instead kind of making bank going, hey, we're going to give you all of our movies until 2026. Then let's renegotiate this contract.
Right.
But so, yeah, if their movies are going to those services, I wonder if those contracts specified that, well, anything we do, those movies can go out there, right?
Right.
So,
We can PlayStation would be PlayStation Plus
yeah.
is those are
So is
superfluous. Those are extra. That's not part of the contract.
yeah. So can I get Venom as part of my PSN subscription in addition to watching it on Netflix or Disney after it comes out? Kind of interesting how that whole contracts, studios, mixed media subscriptions, all that shit falls out. Since Sony is one of the few places doesn't have their one singular home, I'm interested to see how their stuff falls out.
Yep. Me too. So my next item is Humble Bundle. Oh, talk about another cash grab. This one kind of got me in the feelsies. So on Friday, Humble Bundle announced that in May it's going to remove its sliders from Game Bundle store pages, which will cap the amount of the purchase price that you can donate to charity. So if you've never purchased through Humble Bundle, it's Humble Bundles away when they do these big packages. It's when you purchase it, there's sliders on there, and the sliders are you pay any amount you want, usually a certain minimum, and then you can determine how much of that purchase price goes to charity, goes to Humble Bundle, and goes to the developers. So you can slide it however you want. You could put 100% onto charity and leave the developers out. You could make it 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, or any permutation of that. Well, people could donate all their purchase to the charity or none of their purchase to the charity and to other things, whatever. So it seems after a decade of using this system, Humble Bundle's changing things up. The sliders are being removed and they'll be replaced with fixed preset options that maxes out the portion going to charities at 15%. Which means that the rest of the purchase price that will be sent to the developer and Humble Bundle will be a minimum of 85%. And they're fixed preset choices. They're not a slider where you can kind of manipulate like a little more to the developer, a little less to Humble Bundle, a little more to Humble Bundle. Yeah, Humble Bundle apparently, I guess, after 10 years of seeing this, it says it's not making enough money off of the sliders. People are not sliding enough to Humble Bundle. So we're going to create essentially a menu And the highest amount of charity that you can get out of any of those menu items is 15%.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. That just it's limiting what goes to the charity.
It kind of defeats the whole humble out of humble bundle. And it also makes me question, how much people actually ended up giving money to Humble Bundle. How frequently
I wonder,
they were frozen out. How frequently it was given all to charity. I mean, clearly, if it's the max is 15%
or
charity,
like half the charity, half the
that.
developers.
Right. And then Humble Bundle with 0.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be some kind of reason behind it that it's apparently not working, or
AC
I don't
Rate
know.
says that IGN now owns Humble Bundle.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
I wonder if that's a recent thing. When did that happen?
Oh, then that would make absolute sense why they would be turning it into, instead of Humble Bundle being about charity.
It looks like IGN acquired Humble Bundle back in 2017. So that's not necessarily new.
No, but still,
thing.
It is relatively new overlords. And they're starting to see Humble Bundle as a profit center. They also probably, whenever anything is purchased, this goes for anything. The person that the entity that makes it only has to pay for the costs of making it. When something is purchased, you have to pay for that purchase price, usually involving a loan. It's a reason why, like, you have somebody that, say, for example, let's just look at a house. The house that's an apartment building. That apartment building is owned by somebody who's owned it for 20, 25 years. They paid 25 years ago that purchase price for that house. They probably don't even have a loan on it. So they can have lower rents. Once that's sold, then they have a new owner that paid way more for it, probably has a huge loan on it, and they have to cover what they call the nut. And they can't cover their nut with the old rents. So they have to raise the rents to cover what they owe on the house. Same thing with any kind of business. My old company, the old radio station, when it was sold, that's why they got rid of all of the on-air talent. Almost all of the air, all but one, because he had such huge numbers, but almost every single one of the on-air talent, some people that had worked there for 25 years, and it was the number one radio station in the Bay Area. It was a huge station. It was sold and everybody got fired because those people had been paid so much they couldn't pay for those people and cover the nut because they had such a bigger nut than the old owners, ABC Disney. So yeah, anytime you see things get sold, that's what ends up happening. And that's probably what's happening with Humble Bundle, is that they purchased it and then they realized they could not cover the nut doing it the way that they were doing it before, because they had such a big either loan on it or costs to cover in some way that was created by the purchase. So yeah, sales of a company, never good for users. Always result in increased prices. Always.
Yeah, that's too bad for.
Yeah, it is a shame. So yeah, it was a cash grab before. Now it's like, okay, this is just probably just economics.
Now it's like, oh, this is what some guy in a suit, this is the plan that he's had all along. It took 5 years to finally come to fruition.
Yes, he's stroking that handlebar mustache. Yes, we're gonna make it.
Oh, fuck those kids in
charity.
hospitals.
Fuck those kids. You got another one? I have one more.
Yes, I've got several others.
Do you want to talk about it?
Not Fortnite. Nah, I don't want to talk about these. Go on, you do yours.
Nope, you do yours.
Okay. Apex Legends, like last week, sort of announced that it has recently hit 100 million players, like registered players. And about a week later, Call of Duty Warzone announced that it too had reached 100 million players. And those join like Fortnite's, I think, 350 million players. PUBG, I don't know the exact numbers in these articles, especially when you take mobile into account. But it's just these battle royale games, like they're actually living side by side in relatively financial harmony.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And a
Like
lot of people playing them.
it may be hard for like a new battle royale to come out, but you know, uh, PUBG came first, Fortnite came in and really swept things up, and then there was a race about a bunch of other people trying to get in on it, and it seems like Apex and Call of Duty have kind of come out as the winners of that third wave, I guess you'd call it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Battlefield still has theirs going, but I don't know how popular it is.
I don't really ever hear anybody playing. What was it called? Like Firestorm?
Yeah, I think it was Firestorm.
Yeah. I never really heard people playing
I mean,
Firestorm.
I'm pretty sure it's still a mode you can select in that game.
Yeah, but I don't think that it's like the big breakout hit that they were probably hoping it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, I played it maybe twice and it was like, meh, not for me.
And
In fact,
actually,
I
I
think I
don't.
played it with you and it was like, meh, not for me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I did have a couple really awesome moments where I would parachute down next to someone and get into a knife fight. Because that's the only weapon you had. And so it's like, stab this motherfucker before anyone else shows up. That was the most fun I had with it.
Yeah, I think the most fun I had was hiding in a church.
Yeah. And then actually, that I don't
Actually, the
have this as
most
a.
fun I had was you fucking shooting me. The very first time I
Oh
played, we were on the
yeah.
same team, and then you shot me because it didn't recognize our team, and you're like, you know, you just saw somebody else land next to you, so you shot me, and it was like, I'm with
What am I supposed to
you.
do? It's another human.
Kill it.
But one I don't have a story for, and it's not really a story. I know DICE and EA have announced that there's going to be a Battlefield game coming later this year, and I think they said like 2 games are in development. But hey, Battlefield this year, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. I could use another shot of Battlefield.
Yeah, I'm ready.
And I'm not surprised, like, but I'm happy for it.
Yeah, I'm ready for a new Battlefield. I've been feeling the itch to go back to 5 or 1 of the 2.
5.
Yeah, 5.
You can play it as part of Game Pass.
I know I can. I also own it on PlayStation, so I'm happy with that too.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things. It's like, why am I not playing that? I really, really did like it. And then I think it's like distracted and
Yeah, things just
pretty lights.
Yeah.
Then I don't do it.
Another game comes out. I've got a couple others.
Well, geez, hold on a second. Hold your damn horses, kiddo.
Oh, okay,
I've
okay.
got one more.
Sure.
All right. So, my item is there is a leak, a rumor, and normally rumors, like anybody could talk a rumor, but this one actually seems to have more oomph behind it than the generally, people just talking shit and making shit of stuff up out of their ass, like trying to start shit on social media. So this leak is apparently fairly reliable, that Konami may be in discussions with Microsoft about either Microsoft acquiring or licensing out or in some way getting their hands on the Metal Gear Solid IP. So here's the background. First, back in February, there was a story out of VGC about the Bloober team possibly working on a Silent Hill game. And there was a little mention inside of it, and they had sources about Bloober might be working on this game and the Konami, the whole 9 yards. And there was a source in there that they noted that they said after having a couple of duds like Metal Gear Survive and Contra Rogue Core, that Konami is rethinking we're doing everything in-house. If anybody's going to do one of our games there, we're going to do it. Nobody else is going to do it. And they were starting to be more open to the idea of having outside contracts for some of their major franchises. Metal Gear Solid was one of the IPs in this article that their sources for that story said that they were possibly looking at having an external developer do it. Well, and then you also heard these rumored information about Kojima's next game possibly being done with Xbox, with Microsoft. So those are two totally different stories. Then here comes this stream, this podcasting stream. It was leaked by a streamer named ACG on Mr. Matty's Ham Radio podcast this week. And he said that according to a source of his, that Metal Gear Solid IP is currently quote unquote up for grabs. And that Xbox was talking with Konami to have access to this IP. And he wasn't really clear about whether this was an acquisition or licensing. It was very vaguely mentioned. But this got enough attention in the media that ACG actually ended up going to Reddit to explain further about his source and what he heard. Mostly about his source and how he discovered the information. And he went on Reddit and said he's known this source for years, since the Far Cry Primal days. And this source has provided him other tips in the past. Things like Bethesda moving to 0-day review code, about Deathloop, about Bloodlines, about Far Cry Primal long before it was announced. Dragon's Dogma 2 leak, Xbox Game Boost work, a few other things.
Dragon's Dogma 2?
Yeah.
I don't think that's...
According to him, this was a leak that this guy provided him that turned out to be 100% true. So he said, this guy has provided me over the years 8 different leaks of information, and he has been 8 for 8 for all the tips that he's gotten. He says that those are the ones that I've talked about. He said, I get other stuff from him that gets confirmed, but he is 100% right every single time so far in the past. So this leak seems to be leak with a capital L, or I should say rumor with a capital R, as opposed to a rumor with a small r that I normally wouldn't even mention. And even so, rumors with a capital R I don't always mention. But if this is the case, if you think about all the other pieces that we know from elsewhere, one, that Konami, from a totally different source, a totally different story, being more open to franchises being done by external developers. Interesting. That kind of backs it up a little bit. But that also there's this other rumor out circulating that Konami, or that Kojima might be working with Xbox for his next game, which we don't know what it is, but he might be working in talks with Xbox about a game. And then now this other rumor of like Xbox trying to get some way, either by purchasing or licensing or some other way, to get their hands on the Metal Gear Solid IP. It's a real interesting kind of turn of events that if you pick up these little pieces, you go, ooh, that is a very, very interesting story. Very interesting possibility.
Yeah. Would he want to go back to Metal Gear?
Oh, no question. I think no question. I think no question. I think he wouldn't go back to Metal Gear with Konami. But I absolutely see him being the kind of guy that would go back to Metal Gear with Xbox and do a totally, like, take it to the next level. And it's good timing for him. He just came off of Death Stranding, his own completely, like his own IP that was a real critically acclaimed and did well. And so he's got that luxury to be able to do this. And I could see that Metal Gear, he doesn't want the last Metal Gear to be the last Metal Gear. He would love to see it continue, that if he's going to walk away, he doesn't want to walk away with that game and that history behind that game.
I don't know. That game was really good.
The game was really good, but it's also wrapped up in all this politics that happened afterwards with Konami.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to carry that stigma of like, he couldn't fucking pick up an award for the game. He couldn't pick up Game of the Year awards for it because Konami wouldn't let him. That's not how you want your legacy to be left with a game.
I would rather see him do something else.
I think he'll probably do a lot of other things, but I also think that if he was given the opportunity of making this game for Xbox, he would absolutely do it.
I mean, the problem with that is that's another 4 to 5 years of him working on that. And
you'll be in your 40s. It's all right.
If he is determined to like take an IP from Konami to work with, I would rather see him do something with Silent Hill than Metal Gear Solid.
Well, that's where the Bloober team thing comes in, is that the Bloober team is possibly working on a Silent Hill game.
They were rumored for that. I feel like that hasn't necessarily panned out, and also I don't want to see them work on it because I don't like their games.
Didn't they do other?
They did The Medium, which is basically their version of Silent Hill.
There's somebody else that's also, was it Silent Hill, that people were kind of excited about, a third-party developer? Maybe it wasn't Bloober? I can't remember now.
Like, there was that rumor, yes.
Yeah, so I'm
interesting. Like, it's a bunch of like little disparate pieces that when you kind of put them on a cork board and put them together with strings, you can see a picture appear.
Yes, it's exactly what it is. It's a cork boards with the strings and the push pins. Yes.
Yeah.
And if so, I would be excited for. I don't see any downside to it. I would be excited for this for Xbox. It would be huge. It'd be huge for Xbox. I would be excited for Kojima, because it would be huge for him. And dude, when it comes to that game, that IP, dude needs a win, especially if Microsoft obtains, as opposed to licenses. If they actually obtain that IP, I don't think Konami would let that IP go. But they also know that they can't make money on that IP.
Konami, well, yeah, they can. They just like re-release the old games and boom, there you go.
Right, but
get someone to do an HD update and make some money that way.
Yeah, they can make a pachinko game. I know, but I think that they recognize that depending on what their finances are, they may need the big cash infusion, because they did have a couple of games that were not that great.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's
lost money
what
on
the
those.
whole point is. They don't want to develop games internally, but they just license it out to other developers. And if Microsoft is one of them, then sure, that's fine. But they're not going to get rid of a valuable IP like that. They're just gonna say, "Hey, take our license."
Possibly not.
You spend the money.
It depends, Nick. Everything's for sale. Everything's for sale. We all know what we are. We just have to find everybody's price. They would sell it for enough money. The question is, would Microsoft be willing to spend the money on it? Microsoft has the money to do it. The other thing is that I'm happy for Microsoft. I am happy for Kojima if this is at all even possible, because he deserves a win on Metal Gear. And I'm super happy for the Metal Gear fans. Super happy. Because I can see that they loved the Metal Gear Solid, last Metal Gear Solid. I can see them being a love-hate relationship with that game because they know that the person that they loved who made that game for them, who is very much the
And
big personality of it, got fucked over by that game. So it's kind of tainted
yeah.
for them
And
if they're Kojima fans.
you do see it in the game. Like the game doesn't have an ending. It just kind of goes and goes and goes, and then bleh. Like that's
Right.
it. Hey, it's over. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
interesting, interesting. I hope that he doesn't do that because I want to see him make more weird shit. I want more Death Stranding weird shit. I
Who's to
really
say you
liked
can't
that
have
game.
weird shit in a Metal Gear Solid game? You
You
can have lots of
can,
weird shit.
yes, but I want to see him go off and make like his high budget walking simulator crazy shit. I want to see indie game with a big budget behind it. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, he does make those, and he makes them
Yeah.
well.
Which actually, like, incidentally, I heard there's been some previews of Returnal coming out, and that's Sony's next big PS5 exclusive. And a lot of people said it's surprisingly good, and that it actually feels like an indie game with a big budget behind it in a way that's really unique. And I saw one review specifically say, the news story that came out of Bloomberg of Sony like really doubling down on blockbusters. That Returnal is kind of like a counterpoint to that, which is this is a very weird, very unique game that they put a lot of money behind. And it's like, hey, we're going to fund something generally different and weird as opposed to just like, oh, here's all our money on more God of War and more franchises that you know of. It's like, oh,
Right.
okay. If I can get those alongside weird shit like Death Stranding and Returnal, maybe that's good.
Mm-hmm. All right. So your next item.
Yes. Uh, what do you think of Assassin's Creed? Do you think of kids?
Maybe murdering them.
No, no. So
Or,
Ubisoft.
leaving. No, you can't. You could never murder kids in any game. No, leaving orphans in your wake. That's what I think about kids.
Yes, yes.
The
So
the hundreds of thousands of orphans over the centuries that I have left.
so I'm reading this from Polygon because I'm not familiar with children's book stories, children's book series. Uh, but I guess there is a famous long-running series called like the Mr. and like Little Miss books. Yeah, Mr. Men and Little Miss series. That used to be written by Roger Hargreaves, but is now written and illustrated by his son Adam Hargreaves. Put out by Hachette Heroes.
Hatchet. Mhm.
Is it Hatchet or Hachette?
Hatchet. Hatchet
Because
books.
yeah, because it's not hatchet like the little axe that you stick into a tree.
It's pronounced like that.
Okay.
It's a CCETT.
Yes.
Yes. Hatchet.
So okay, the Ubisoft is partnering with Hachette to make a series of children's books based off Assassin's Creed in the style of Mr. Men and Little Miss. And so this is a quote from Ubisoft. By mixing Assassin's Creed sense of adventure and history with the colorful and delightful designs of the Little Mr. Men, these books will appeal to both young and adult readers. Follow ad on their bingo card.
Yeah, I can't see it. I can't see it.
There's already art out there of like one of those little figures in an Ezio style assassin's robe.
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to look to see if I can see what the Mr. Men Little Miss um television. Yeah, they're the books.
Yeah, if you typed in Assassin's Creed, I'm sure you'd see it. So yeah, they're apparently adapting like Ezio's story, Ivor from Valhalla, and Cassandra from Odyssey, getting this adaptation treatment.
What a strange thing.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, the kids are never too young to learn about assassination.
God, how would you put Ezio's story into this? How would you make a children's book out of the Ezio story?
You recently
Maybe
played
I need to
Valhalla.
read these little Mr. Men, Little Miss books to see how fucked up they are.
You recently played Valhalla. How could you turn Ivor's story into a children's book?
I don't know. I wouldn't even. I can't. I can. I've got no words.
Yes. I am genuinely
Nope.
interested in this. Who knows? Maybe I'll have
No.
to add this to my
I
bookshelf
think. Are
just
we? Did
out of
this come out
fun.
of the Onion? Did this come out of the Onion?
Nope. It's not out of the
Are you
Onion.
sure?
It's too late for
April Fools?
April Fools.
Because this very much sounds like an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, nope.
Yeah, I can't see it at all. Yep, Mr. Men books are for children. Assassin's Creed is not. Opinion.
So okay, this is interesting. From the Polygon article.
Mm-hmm.
The post was a little light on details, so the writer of the article went. Let me give them actual credit. Charlie Hall went digging into the other lines, the other books in this series. And with the help of a French speaking coworker, he found a couple other tie ins that included several Doctor Who books, which makes more sense than Assassin's Creed, but does establish like a precedent for there being a tie in um, of these books.
All right. Okay. Ryan Stevenson says they're great kids' books back in the day. They were awesome. It would not be for children, I hope. I
Well,
think that
he's not going to be murdering people. Little Mr. Ezio is just going to be putting them to sleep,
just
like
joking,
like
just joking about a little bit.
like Chappie does. Did you ever see Chappie?
No, what's Chappie?
It's a movie about the robot that like gains sentience and kind of falls in with a bunch of drug dealers. It's not a good movie. It's from the director of District 9.
Okay.
Um, it's not a good movie, but it's maybe unintentionally funny at times. He falls in with these drug dealers, and whenever he kills people, they always tell him, "No, you're just putting them to sleep." And so there's a scene of him with a bunch of fucking ninja stars going, "Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep," throwing them in people's faces.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
That's what I imagine Mr. Ezio doing.
Okay.
Go to sleep,
Go to
go to
sleep. Go to
sleep,
sleep.
go
Go
to
to
sleep.
sleep.
Hidden Blade, go to sleep. Yeah, yeah.
All right. So, anything else?
Yeah. This is this is a fucking Hollywood snake eating its own tail story.
Okay.
Vin Diesel is set to produce a movie, well, produce and star in a movie of Rock'em Sock'em Robots. It's being written by Ryan Eagle, who also did Rampage, which was actually better than Eddie Right to Be. But the story is going to be about, quote, a father and son who form an unlikely bond with an advanced war machine. Now, Hugh Jackman starred in that exact same movie several years ago called Real Steel, which was about a father and son forming an unlikely bond over an advanced robotic boxing machine. It's literally, that movie was even jokingly described by anyone who saw the trailer as Rock'em Sock'em Robots. It's so you have the toy, you have a movie that ripped off the toy, and now you have a movie ripping off the movie that ripped off the toy based on the original toy. It's this fucking Ouroboros snake. I don't get it. Like, why not just make Real Steel 2 at this point? Like, is the Rock'em Sock'em Robots IP really that valuable that you need it to sell your movie? Because from what I understand, Real Steel did pretty well. I think it was financially successful.
There you go. That's the only Rock'em Sock'em movie.
Oh my god, that is awesome.
I played that. That was at Burning Man.
That looks like something you'd see at Burning Man.
Yeah, and you actually have two people behind you driving it backwards and forwards. So it's a team of two. One person riding the robot, the other person pushing the trailer back and forth.
That looks stupid, and I wish I could do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, and it looks like AC Wraith in the chat has a story that I guess the internet is calling for Real Steel 2 after the announcement of this movie, which I will join that petition. Fuck Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Give me more Real Steel. That was a perfectly fine like family movie.
It's
just weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Anything else?
Yes. In kind of just a fun, half fun, a fun headline. Nintendo is suing the leader of a hacker group that is basically accused of violating copyright by making and selling hacks for the Switch. Nintendo has accused him of running an international pirate ring to distribute Switch-oriented hacking tools. But in a fun twist, the name of the dude is Gary Bowser. And so all of the headlines are Nintendo sues Bowser.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Actually, I'm gonna pull it up and see if I can find it. Nintendo sues Bowser. I'm totally Googling this right now. Yep, there it is. Nintendo sues Bowser.
Yeah, literally every website has the same headline because like you can't do anything different with that.
Right. No, of course not.
Nintendo is suing Bowser, Nintendo sues Bowser, Nintendo sues Bowser, not that one. Nintendo sues Bowser.
Nintendo suing Switch hacker Gary Bowser. Eurogamers.net.
Oh, okay. Eurogamer not going for the joke. They're going for the serious.
Anyway, Nintendo is suing Bowser, not King Koopa.
Okay.
All right. So, anything else?
Yes. More Microsoft stuff, and a beta for Xbox Cloud Gaming has now launched on Windows 10 and iOS. It's not open to the public. It's a closed beta, so you have to be invited. I'm not sure how you get the invite. Maybe you're eligible. It depends. If you're taking part in the beta, you have to be able to use Edge, Chrome, or Safari. Otherwise, you won't be able to access the service. But it's interesting to note that you have to do it using Safari and that it is available on iOS, because this gets into one of the big things about like Epic vs. Apple. So one of the reasons like Stadia wasn't allowed on iOS because it was its own standalone app. But the reason this is allowed on iOS is because they're using kind of a workaround system that Apple actually recommended initially. Like, oh, it's not all fault that you can't do this. There's this workaround you could use. And so Microsoft is doing that. That basically makes the app into Safari, basically. It's a website that you access through Safari, but you launch it as a standalone app. And so like when you download this beta, you just download it as an app, but it actually uses Safari to access the internet, not like its own proprietary thing. So it's still technically going through like Apple's walled garden. And that's why, basically that's like the long technical story of why you can run this video game streaming service on an Apple device that didn't previously allow video game streaming services. But it's up now. If you're eligible, it may be worth looking into. Xbox is sort of slowly advancing towards their cloud gaming initiative. There's just another step forward in that.
Come on. So I'm going to hit this because Ryan Stevenson has brought this up a couple times in the chat room. MLB The Show. So if you're may or may not be aware, MLB The Show 2021 was supposed to release on April 20th, but it actually came out on the 16th for special pre-order editions. So these people had early access. And pretty much since the very first person got their copy, the servers have been having horrible issues. And the big one right now is that the crossplay servers have been down for 4 days straight now. They keep on being brought up and then taken back down for maintenance, brought up, taken back down. Yeah, 4 straight days. Down Detector even right now is still showing a huge spike in down reports for MLB The Show 21. Yeah, just the whole thing is just a huge 94% of the people that were reporting these downage issues had to do with server connection issues. And it is the 4th day in a row that they have actually had to pull down all the servers for maintenance. That's pretty bad. I mean, try to think other games that had to be pulled down for maintenance, because it's not that they've been down for 4 days straight. It's that they're down and then they're brought up and they're still not working and they're brought down again. So they're functionally down, but then this is a 4 straight day of daily maintenance.
I wonder if that has something to do with maybe like an expansion of players they weren't expecting by putting it to another console. Or is this affecting one console?
Well, this game
or
just
the
came
other?
out. This game just came out. What for the general public 5 days ago?
Yeah, but I'm wondering because I don't think other versions had this issue, and I wonder if that's because this one is now available on Xbox, and that just creates an influx of players that maybe they weren't previously prepared for.
Maybe, or that it's the actual cross-play that's the issue, because they haven't had cross-play previous to this, because nobody else allows cross-play.
True.
So it might be the fact that it is the crossplay that's kind of jacking their systems. Yeah, you would think that a game that is an annualized game like this would not have server issues. Yeah, No Man's Sky, yeah, they were doing it, but then that was an IP
They
they
taken
never
down for server maintenance. I thought it was just like, hey, this game isn't what you promised.
I can't remember. I mean,
I know there was a couple
Auto
years.
5 was bad.
Yes, and there were a couple years there in the 360 era, maybe early PS4, where it felt like every new online game came out with server issues. Every Battlefield, every Call of Duty.
Has that changed? It's still the situation. It's just not as bad.
Maybe I don't remember. Like,
I mean, Outriders still had server issues.
That's true. Outriders did. Yeah, I guess we'll see with the new Battlefield coming up if it has issues or not.
Yeah. Let's see. It's also on Game Pass. So that also makes it an issue. It's on Game Pass. It's being done crossplay. And it's on Xbox, and it's never been on Xbox. So, yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that says that's fucked up, but also there's another half of my brain that's thinking, and it makes complete sense. I'm surprised it's only been 4 days. But you'd think that it would have been better beta tested than this. So yeah, I'm sorry you're not able to get into the show, but maybe you will by 2022.
From what I understand, at least is that there is an offline mode, so you can at least still play the game. You just can't play online with other people,
right?
Which is
kind of
silver lining.
Yeah, no, it's kind of the point.
Yes, although
it's like saying you can have the side dishes. You just,
no, that's not
the roast is ruined.
The game is still at least playable, more than you can say for something like Outriders.
Our pizza ovens are down, but you can get a salad. Salad bar is still open. That's about what that says for MLB.
I don't know. After signing in every time for Outriders and then playing through the single player, playing through by myself, I still appreciate when a game is playable offline.
You know what? You know what my goal is in life is to have a man love me as much as that cat
Oh,
loves you.
you okay? There you go. Say hi.
That cat, everyone should aspire to that. That cat loves you so much.
Yes, it's mutual.
Yeah. So, anything else?
Yes, I just need to get my hand to
Oh,
change this tab.
Ryan Stevenson says it is an amazing game on offline. So
Oh,
that's
yeah,
good. At
see?
least you got
See?
that. All right. I stand corrected then.
I forget who sent this link, if it was AC Wraith or Izzy, Blood Reaper, but they sent a link to a Twitter thread, and I guess someone named Indie Wolverine, based on data from GameDataCrunch.com, created a chart of Steam games released by year by price. And it's just kind of a rough chart put together that just looked at, they were trying to figure out if the race to the bottom, price wise, that a lot of indie developers worried about on Steam had come to fruition. And based on the chart, it looks like it actually hadn't. Uh, the chart covers from 2015 to 2020, and over that you can see the growth of games go from like 1,000 games on Steam to 5,000 games on Steam. But as the number of games goes up, the relative percentage of what's like 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 30, 30 to 50, or 50 plus has stayed relatively the same. And so even though you're seeing, there's clear indication that like the $0 to $5 has this huge jump um, in terms of pure numbers, but in terms of percentage, uh, the 0 to 5 games was there's 53% in 2020. So 53% of the games on Steam was $0 to $5. Very cheap, kind of the trashy indie games that you would expect. But in 2017, that number was 52. And in 2018, that number was 59.
You should send
So
me. Do you have a picture, a link? Because I can't find this.
yes, I do. Let
There
me.
we go. Race to the we go. Thank goodness. Thank you, AC Wraith. Race to the bottom in pricing on Steam.
Do you want me to share mine, or are you still looking?
Yeah, go ahead and share yours.
Okay. Love Sweet. Yes, that should be it.
There we go.
Yeah. And so like the number of like super dirt cheap indie games has actually decreased percentage wise from 2018 to 2020. And so the number is increasing because just the number of games overall is increasing. But percentage wise, the number of like, trashy race to the bottom indie games is not forcing, the 5 to 10 to $20 indie games like out of the market. It's not forcing them to be cheaper, which is kind of nice to see. This doesn't consider sales. Maybe there is like a stealth race to the bottom that has to do with discounts. This doesn't take that into effect.
I can see that being a thing.
But it is
because I
just
don't
kind
really
of,
buy games on Steam unless they're on sale.
yeah.
Certainly on the Steam sale. That's where vast majority of my cash is spent when I buy Steam games.
Yeah,
And I don't think I'm the only
it's
one.
nice to see that, you know, Steam has not created a race to the bottom economy. Even if they're creating an economy that just allows, almost half of their games have always been the super dirt cheap stuff. And that is still true, even when it's from 1,000 games to 5,000. But percentage wise, things are even.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it has, as AC Ray said, the price has little to do with the quality. It's just an issue of race to the bottom games, price wise.
Interesting. Well, it's good to
Yeah,
know. At least that everything that the doom and gloom that they had on the industry because of that really didn't happen.
yeah,
And sort of, there was a part of me that was a little afraid of it, but not horribly. I mean, I knew that it was not going to be as doomy and gloomy as anybody suggested. It's going to be somewhere in the middle, but I'm glad to see that it's actually more unfounded than even I suspected.
Yeah. And that at least from 2018, it's actually getting better. Like the prices kind of are trending upwards on average.
Yeah, and I could see that also. It's, it, it's a really COVID is going to make the economies of developed countries a little interesting, certainly in the United States, for the next few years, because there's going to be a bigger divide between people who have money, more disposable income to spend, and people who don't. People that were working through this probably ended up banking more money. And then, of course, they got the stimulus. So that was even more money if you were in that middle income area that actually qualified for the stimulus. And people who were at the, like just holding on were kicked completely off.
Yeah.
The wealth divide is going to be significantly different, that there's going to be a lot more disposable income in the hands of way fewer people than there were before. So I think we're going to see prices increase for just about everything in the next 3 to 5 years, because there's the people that have money have more money to spend. The people who don't have money, nobody's trying to sell to them because they don't have money. So it's going to be real interesting to watch how this economy plays out. Certainly more interesting for people like me who weren't kicked off of the, off the train. It's really sad for a lot of people who are, it's going to take them years to recover, if they ever do, from what happened. And a lot of industries, I mean, I know this is kind of branching out that conversation. A lot of industries are going to come back, but they're not going to be the same industry that you had. Restaurants. I don't know if you knew this. Restaurants. They can't find workers for restaurants because people that were working in restaurants went on to move to somewhere else or did something else, especially in the Bay Area. They left because they couldn't afford to stay. So they got the fuck out. And now there's not enough of the service workers, low paid service workers, to actually fill the jobs as these industries are starting to open up and come back.
Which
means that
prices,
means that the wages are going to have to go up. It's going to be really weird.
If
This
you
is something
pay
that's going
someone
to
less
change
than
us.
minimum wage and assume, oh, you're going to get it on tips. That's
right.
Completely defeats the purpose of a tip.
Right. And that, their business was completely shut down. And so they were furloughed. Yeah. And then they got some money back, but not enough money back. Meanwhile, rents were still, it's like, well, now I'm, 9 months behind on my rent that I will never be able to pay back. They're just going to get the fuck out and move to somewhere where it doesn't cost $3,000 a month for, a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be weird for a really long time. We're gonna have to see how that plays out. And hopefully we didn't lose any more of, hopefully you guys in the GameHounds universe are doing okay. And if you're not, I'm hoping that you recover faster than most of them. So anything else before we close out the show?
That is all of my news.
That's all my news. So let's close this out.
No, I got to get working on this 11 and a half hour Mortal Kombat trilogy movie.
Do you really going to watch it?
I might watch some of it. Like, I'm genuinely curious.
Are you going to play anything this week?
Yes, more Curious Expedition. I'm going to try to save. I can't save Jim Sterling, but I can try to save
your
myself and my alcoholic friend. We will find the Golden Pyramid or die trying. And I will update you next week if I succeed or not.
All right.
Other than that, probably more PlayStation games.
All right.
I want to try Oddworld. Oddworld that came out, and it was
Yeah.
free on PS5 for PSN users. Still is for like the next couple days.
I don't know. I mean, I remember playing Oddworld. It was one
At
of the
least
first
add it
games
to
I
the
played when I came back into gaming, but
at least add it to your library. Like it doesn't hurt.
maybe. It means I have to log on to PlayStation. I mean, not that that's a bad thing. It's just, it's all the
Just
way
have
over
to
there.
turn on the console.
It's all the way over there. Means I got to stand up and press a button. Oh.
You do it with the Xbox all the time.
Not all the time. All right, so let's close this out.
Yeah. Oh,
What?
AC Wraith in the chat has said that the MK game movies are really good. It feels like a comics crossover with all of the characters there.
Oh.
So many characters. And yeah, from
All
what I remember, that's fun.
All right, good to know. Can we close this out now?
Wait.
We're closing it
Now.
out.
Now you
All
can.
right. Thank you for listening to GameHounds, episode 591. We are back with naming our episodes. And I don't remember the name of this episode. So
AC Wraith is a god.
AC Wraith is a god. That's the name of the episode. Thank you so much for listening. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick Nicola. Andrew Smith will be back next week. If you ever want to get a hold of us, our website is gamehounds.net. Our email is gamehounds@gmail.com. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Western or Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker. That's speaker with an R, Spreaker.com. You can listen to us there, audio, or you can go and watch us on video. The video is brought to you by our lovely patrons. Thank you so much. Were it not for you, you would not be seeing me right now. Thank you for doing it, because you are you are buying this video. This is all you. All we ask is $1 a month to support our show so that we can actually put this on video. You can find it at patreon.com/gamehounds. But we do record this show, do the show live with video at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern every Sunday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. On Facebook and Twitch, we are the GameHounds, and on YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids. VIDS is in videos. Please feel free to join us. Be in the chat room. Thanks so much to Ryan Stevenson for being here. Thanks for AC Wraith. He puts every single link of everything we ever talk about in the comment section of all the platforms. So if there was something there that you wanted to check out or wanted to find a link for, you can go ahead and check the check in the comments. It's all there. Thank you to Blood Reapers. Thank you to Mark Clemens, who is coming back after he used to watch the first episode of GameHounds on a Palm Pilot. Yeah, you're an old fuck, and I'm so glad to have you back. If you ever want to watch us, please make sure to like and thumbs up, hit the notification bell, especially if you're on YouTube, so that you can be notified when we do a show every single week. Nick, thank you for being here. We will talk to you next week. Andrew, we will talk. I know you're listening. We'll talk to you next week as well. Everybody in the chat room, thank you. Have a great week. Be safe. Get a vaccine. The virus is real. The vaccine is good. Go do it. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye. All right. And we are out with the audio. We are still in the video.
I was just thinking, when you get the second shot, how long does it take for like the exhaustion and tiredness and all that to kick in?
Pretty well anywhere from 12 hours to 48 hours. Like
Okay.
I immediately, like I felt really super dizzy that night and most of the next day. I was woken up at 5 o'clock in the morning the day after, like I went to bed after getting the shot, 5 o'clock in the morning, with my knees and my wrists hurting.
Okay.
So my joint pain started 12 hours, pretty much. 14 hours actually
Because
afterwards. The
I
next day I was like, like it had
because
a couple of drinks.
yeah, I'd heard everyone talk about the next day, the next day, the next day. So that's why I didn't feel bad scheduling it for Sunday morning. Because like, oh yeah, I'll take Monday off. But then I thought, just as you were ending, I was like, wait a minute. Does that mean like I might be too tired to do the podcast that Sunday?
No, you probably won't. What time are you getting the shot?
11:30.
Oh no, you'll be fine. Yeah,
Okay.
if you do feel anything, you won't be feeling awful by that soon. It usually takes
Okay.
because you need time for your immune response to actually start happening. So
Yeah.
you'll probably feel it 12 hours if you feel it at all. When you start to feel it the next day, if you have any reaction, because not everybody gets a reaction, but if you do, you feel a little under the weather on Monday. You might feel still a little under the weather on Tuesday. I scheduled mine for a Wednesday and I took Thursday and Friday off so that I could have 4 days. And I would say I was at 99% on Friday.
Okay.
Still a little dizzy on Friday, and not feeling like totally great, but certainly by Saturday I felt fine.
Good to know. In that case, I will be here through rain or snow or
Right.
pandemic.
Now my symptoms were by no means the most severe. My best friend had his and he was down for about 3 days with the full on
Okay.
fever, chills, totally like flu symptoms, but just laid in bed, drank water, slept a lot, felt fine 3 days later. So he got it full on.
Yeah, Ryan just got his second one, and he was saying that he's maybe middle of the road in terms of like being knocked out.
Mhm. Wow, Ryan says that they have an automatic 4-month second appointment due to the lack of vaccines. Oh, in Ontario, Canada. Yeah, you guys are don't have nearly the
Isn't
vaccines
I
that we
thought you
do.
had to get it within a shorter time frame?
No. Actually, that time frame is a really large time frame.
Okay.
I think it's the minimum is 3 weeks and the maximum is something like 5 months. So it's not,
Okay.
crucial. Uh
He was out for 1.5 days.
My vaccine has supposedly 5% less effective, but has 100% more Dolly Parton funding.
Yeah, it was the Moderna one is partially funded by Dolly Parton. Well, yeah, she has a
That's
bunch of
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, it runs a gamut. You are what you are. It all comes down to your
Yeah,
own
I was
particular
just wondering
DNA.
about the podcast. I was like, oh shit, maybe I'll have to call out sick that
So
day. But
I have to look this up. You want to report. Let's see. Shoot, I have to find it. Stand by.
Ryan Stevenson says we suck here, but I feel like that's because the U.S. is just taking all of it. You know,
No, we haven't taken all of it.
we were like first. You know, we fucked up the pandemic, but because of a bunch of contracts and money, we're like, hey, give it to us first, right? Yeah, we'll pay you.
No. Okay, here's also what you need to do, Nick.
Hmm.
Actually, anybody that has a vaccine in the United States, even do this before you get your vaccine if you know you're going to get one. Go to this website. You can type it in right now, Nick. It's called VSafe, as in the letter V, as in Victor, SAFE.cdc.gov. What this is this is a vaccine symptom tracker that is been created by the CDC. This is how they're determining when they say the most likely symptoms are, this is how they're determining it. So they want to, if you get a vaccine, they want you to register here and they will, they send it to your phone and it's a little survey that you take, after you've gotten your vaccine for a couple of days, a couple of weeks after, between your vaccine and between your first vaccine and after your last vaccine. And it's a quick survey. how you feeling today? Have you had any of these symptoms? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? You know, how bad are the symptoms? So that they can start tracking, or are there any symptoms here that you haven't, that aren't on that list, so that they can actually investigate and track the symptoms that you get after your vaccine. So register for it. You register your phone and you get a text, and you'll just get I get a little notice that said, "Hi, Edith, it's time for your daily V-Safe check-in." And then, so
Okay.
then you just click the link and you get a little like, let's see if I can see it. You can see it's mine's already, it says already completed, but you get your little V-Safe check-in and you go, "This is how I feel. This is my symptoms if I have any. And thanks. And have I had a vaccine in the last 24 hours?" So that way they can keep track of who's getting what, how bad the symptoms are, and who's getting them. That's how they know things like men get them and tend to get them worse than women.
Okay.
Because they're doing this tracker. So yeah, again, the website is, let me put it into a banner so you guys can see it. Stand by. It is vsafe.cdc.gov. It's super easy to register for, and it is really important for the CDC to be able to do this.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Anything else?
Weather update. It has started raining here.
Oh, it is completely sunny and dry here right now.
Really?
It is totally sunny.
That's a 40-minute drive right there.
Yeah, it is. It is an absolutely, completely blue sky and some light clouds, and that's about it. And
Wow.
like the street is dry.
Yeah, it's actually coming down surprisingly hard.
Good. We need it.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Badly.
Pro rain.
Very pro rain right now. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. Let's see. He says, also don't look up COVID arm, just saying.
Yeah, he says he got a bit of a rash. You know what? I'm not even gonna look. I know it's just the first one, not the second, but I'm not gonna bother with that.
He says he got knocked on his ass for a day, but I'm back to normal now. Yeah.
Good.
About right. Right. So, that's it.
Yeah.
He says, "I love the weather updates." You're welcome.
I noticed it was raining. I'm like, you know what? I have to give a weather update. The weather is either, hey, it's raining or it's sunny. So
Right. It's California. It's
yeah.
pretty much all we have. Raining or sunny. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And to all of our patrons, thank you so much. You have no idea how much this video stream has changed the show, and in most ways for the better. It's really made me more connected to you. I can't believe that I had to be convinced, like my brother had to convince me. My crazy ass brother had to convince me that this was worth trying. And I'm really, really glad that I was able to do it. So it's really thanks to you that you've added new energy to the show. Because you want to say it was getting old, but I mean, after 13, 10 years, 11 years of doing a strictly audio show and then editing it, or even just doing it live, it's definitely been a good change. So thank you for sponsoring it. Thank you for being a patron to it. I do appreciate it. And were it not for you, this would not be here. So have a great week. Thanks to our patrons. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.